And after 7, we open up the July 15th Planning Board meeting with all in attendance. First item is, I know we don't have the minutes because they never left the computer. Is that correct?
Correct.
Crashed computer, so we got nothing to talk about on that. All right. We'll skip down to Blades Realty. We have a A&R.
Yep.
Okay. Speaking on the A&R, is Mr. Mackey, and this is the ice rink, or next to the ice rink, all the property up there owned by Blades Realty Trust, which is Fred Iorio, and I think it has something to do with the, here you go, you can take that, with the, what do you call it? Cow wash. Okay, with that being said, okay, Mr. Mackey, if you want to,
Sure, if I may, Mr. Chairman, Phil Mackey, 1256 Washington Street, Norwood, Massachusetts, counsel for on behalf of the applicant. Basically, what you have before you is a division of Land Court Lot 37. In and of itself, it's a non-conforming lot to begin with. And just to make things confusing, if this were not registered land under Land Court, this would be a parcel. But this is Land Court land, and everything in Land Court is a lot, whether it's buildable or not. And basically, the court controls the dimensions, it controls the lot numbering, and it actually is going to control what the ultimate plan looks like. But the process of that is, well, basically the engineer is sitting next to me, but nonetheless, John drew the plan. We submitted it to Land Court. They basically told us what to change, what to leave, and what you have in front of you is what we were instructed to have endorsed by your board, and that will create, I believe, lots 100, 101, and 102. And after you endorse it, we have to send it back to the court. It does not get recorded at the registry, and they will change it once again, and then it will be filed with the Land Court Registry District of Norfolk County as the next plan in the case that currently controls this lot of land. So that's a very long way of saying, court told us to do this, please endorse it. But that is what is in front of you. And ultimately, we'll be here again with a different set of plans to actually create lots and convey property. But this currently is Lot 37. It's owned by Blades Realty Trust. It will be divided into 3 lots, all of which remain under the ownership of Blades Realty Trust. And then we'll be back in front of you with a different set of plans to actually move land, and that will have to conform to zoning and be buildable lots as we all understand them.
all right, John, you have any questions?
When you say 100, 101, 102, do you actually mean 77, 78, and 79, I assume?
Is that what it was? That was
Can I look at the plan? Sure.
He took my question.
I'm assuming you're identifying these 3 items. That's a 77, 78, and 79. Now, I saw you, a point
You might not be able
101
to
and a
read it
point
outside.
102. I noticed there's a point 101 and 102 over there, but I don't think that's what was intended to be said. There's lots of this.
Yep, it does.
So those are what you intended to.
That's what
I
the
guess.
court told us to do, and I
Okay. And I know that I saw
proving my own
100s.
point. When we started, we thought it was 101, 102, and 100.
Yeah,
And it came back to us, and we put on what they told us.
No, now I recall. So the way we do it is because we don't know the next lot in line with the land court, so we just assign it a real high number, knowing that there's probably not a lot 100. And then they came back and said, oh, you want, the next lot number is 78 and then 79, and then whatever they are. So
Yeah.
that's why,
Okay.
Attorney Mack.
Just wanted to make sure we're talking the same piece.
So our original submission to the land court showed him it's 100, 101, 102, I believe, but they came back and said changing to those numbers.
Am I safe in assuming that the split into three pieces is then gonna be allocated to the larger lots behind
Yes.
them? That's basically my only questions.
Okay, Katie,
Yep, all set.
Phil,
I think I lost that too.
Sarah?
I guess Carl's not here, but we should, you know, read his comments and/or ask the applicant to address them.
He said comments, but yeah, but he references a map we don't have.
I can read them, Jack, do you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's the other one, reference.
Okay. So he said, I've highlighted in orange, green, and blue what I think will be the end result, which is PR-Lot 1, comma, PR-Lot 2, and PR-Lot 3. If this plan is strictly for land court, then okay. It divides land court Lot 37 into land courts Lot 77, 78, and 79. If it will also be recorded in the registry, then Shelby needs to be listed as the owner as well as Blades. No matter what, there's a labeling problem. I believe he needs to label Lot 77 as parcel E, Lot 78 as parcel F, and Lot 79 as parcel G. Or he needs to change the label for PR Lot 1, PR Lot 2, and PR Lot 3 and eliminate parcels E, F, G, and instead notes lots 77, 78, and 79. I suppose you could also, if lots 77, 78, and 79 should be labeled as not buildable, or this can be ignored as it is a nuance of being registered land.
Okay, so
Got all
the
that?
answer to the baseline question, this is not being recorded, this is purely for land court.
Okay,
And per John's earlier explanation, the labels are what the court told us to put on. When we actually do get to the point where we're recording them in the registry, then just about everything he said will be incorporated.
okay,
But this is purely to send back to the court.
okay. Okay, so, what you have,
They basically won't allow us to put anything on the three lots that they actually care about that they won't approve. There are actually other items that we were told to remove.
okay, so they asked you to label it 77, 78, and 79?
Yes.
Okay, but what I have before me is PR-Lot 1. And then,
Yeah, what Carl says in the last thing is if this is going to
Well,
be
those
for
are the
just
lots
for.
behind.
Yeah, is this gonna be part of registered land, it's just ignore it and not buildable, which he has up here, it's not a determination, it's performance of zoning, so.
okay, okay,
Alright. Okay, I'll make a motion to endorse.
I have one question. He's got the mention that Shelby should be listed as an owner. You've said the entire parcel here is all owned by Blades.
That is correct.
So I suppose that comment doesn't make sense in that case.
Does not. If we were including the land, because there's some stuff that's kind of clouded and faded that just gives you context to the rest. Some of that is owned by John, but that's not what you're signing on. It's just the ownership of Blades.
You all set?
Yep.
All right, I'll make a motion to endorse.
Second.
Wait a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay. Sign it. Yep,
Oh, yeah.
just the one. You know that water's gonna spill on something.
It's sealed.
I don't have to drink sealed water.
Can you turn the light up?
So 78, 79, it's these little lots.
oh, But then why?
Seventy,
did
this
Carl
must be the
label that one?
77. Yeah, 77,
I
78.
know, I know.
Yeah, that's right.
I told you it was on Monday.
That's the-
Jack, can I have the folder, please?
Yep. You got a minute, we'll bang the other one out too. while we're here. Okay. You all set, Phil? You gonna take the
Suspect
Mylar?
I'm here, I will take the Mylar, I suspect I'm gonna be talking about this.
Please.
Can I take them all?
I signed it in pink.
Don't spoil anything on it. Okay, we've got this one, we have an A&R on West Street. And Kyle's comments, but I did talk to him about it, he says it's unconventional, but he thinks we can sign it. I will point out why I believe we cannot sign it. Because it doesn't need it. If you look at map lot 57, there's a house there already, 965 West Street, and down the bottom, you have a driveway, or you have an access, the driveway's actually on with 106 feet on West Street. It's in Residence A, and that does not meet the frontage. But if you come way over, this is one like horseshoe lot, but if you come way over here to the top of West Street, right now, they have a length of 90 and 117, which gives you 207 feet. That meets the requirements for a rural lot, which is what they're trying to make lot 1 into. So right now, the frontage for this entire lot, he doesn't have frontage at the West Street juncture, close to the town, the 106. His actual frontage, legal frontage, is up there on West Street where he wants to divide it. So he's trying to take a lot. So if he divides this the way he wants to do it, okay, the house has no front, he's made an illegal lot, and he can't do that. He needs frontage.
Yeah, he's making it non-conforming.
Yeah, you can't make,
May I comment?
you representing him?
I do,
You gonna tell me you can do this?
I am.
And, no,
Because
I
it
don't wanna
says,
hear.
it says right on it that parcel A is not a buildable lot and can't be separated in ownership from lot 1. So what we've done is created lot 1 and parcel A.
Yeah,
And hopefully next month, I'll be in front of you with a preliminary plan to subdivide parcel 1 and actually provide frontage, which would then allow you to separate out. But under our zoning bylaw, land under common ownership is considered one lot. We're not changing the frontage, we're not changing the nonconformance, we're not changing anything. All we're doing is making an internal division between what would be lot 1 and parcel A. Ownership doesn't change, you can't convey it, you can't separate them legally, but for planning purposes, we can then move forward. And the plan references that that's not a buildable lot. It says it right on there.
yeah, but what I have, my issue, Phil, and I know you know where I'm gonna go, is I always love when people, you're not gonna build on it because you got a house there already. That's always been my position is,
But it still has the same frontage as it currently does. Under our zoning bylaw, the frontage did not change according to that plan. The frontage is on West Street in the rural zone. Does not have sufficient frontage in RA. Where the house's driveway is actually irrelevant. Nothing changes.
why are you doing it like this?
It's basically what he wants to do is put a nursery on lot 1, and he wants to then make a subdivision, which certainly, of course, comes in front of your board on parcel A, and it is wide enough to put in a unwavered road. I suspect we will be asking for waivers to build to a private road standard, and in that case, you would have sufficient frontage, because there's sufficient frontage and area to turn parcel A into 2 lots, which we've had the discussion before. You need to have 2 lots to make a subdivision. And lot 1, as shown on this plan, would then just stand on its own. And ultimately, he'd put a nursery in lot 1, which is allowed by right, and he'd have his house on a now conforming lot in the RA zone, and it would actually conform to the right thing. So at the end of this, we're bringing things more into conformity, but I've got to do this in steps, not all at once.
Why are you calling one lot 1 and the other one parcel A?
Because parcel A is not buildable,
That's
and it
the only
can't be
reason?
separated until we do something else. And you could theoretically sell it to one of the neighbors who has sufficient frontage, and that would be okay, but as it stands now, he can't separate the ownership of his house from the lot in the rural district,
Without losing
because
its
it doesn't
frontage.
conform.
Provided the title search is done correctly.
Yes,
That's always the biggie.
it is.
Yes. Some guy blow right by it, right? All right, well, for what Mr. Mackey said, so. John, any comments?
No, he's correct, and as long as they're kept in common ownership, they can be treated as one lot, and the one frontage on the end is sufficient.
Okay, Kate,
No, I think it's clear.
Phil?
So could you just walk through that real quickly one more time? So
Sure.
parcel A,
Parcel A is not buildable.
Not buildable.
And you cannot legally separate it from lot 1 unless you provide it with frontage. What we expect to do is come in front of you and propose a 2-lot subdivision, which will provide adequate legal frontage. But I guess there is a possibility, so I don't want to tell you it's the only way you could do it. If one of the neighbors who already has a conforming lot bought that, they could add it to their property and have an enormous lot. I don't think it's likely, but it is possible. But as it stands now, unless you provide adequate legal frontage for parcel A, it cannot be separated out from lot 1.
okay.
All right, Sarah?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the question Phil asked. So you're proposing perhaps in the future to create a new road, and then
Yes.
both lots would have frontage on that new road?
I hope to have a preliminary in front of you guys in August or September, depending on what your, schedule permits. I know August is getting pretty full, so.
Okay, okay, yeah, no other questions.
All right, I just wanted to see something, Kyle had root. Okay, it says, Kyle had written at the bottom of our block, it says planning board endorsement is not a determination as to the conformance with the zoning ordinance.
That's by the statute, yes.
It's ordinance?
It's bylaw.
It's actually,
He's just picking.
The word ordinance.
got it.
Yeah.
What?
Our language says bylaw.
Yeah.
That is correct.
All right, do you see an issue?
I'd rather just have it clean. We'll do it next month.
Okay, so you're gonna bring it back? Okay,
Yeah.
that's all.
Okay.
All right.
That way you may see the preliminary at the same time. Which I answered.
The word ordinance.
Figured you want to clean or something first. Why,
I agree.
why bother getting all?
But that's not a rejection, I mean, that's.
No, you withdraw it
Yes,
Drawing it.
yes.
to
I'm
make
not-
correction?
To make a correction.
Just withdraw it.
I don't know
I
the reason
I
for
would
that.
ask that we waive the next fee.
Oh, so you're gonna withdraw it?
Geez, these guys want to waive the fee before they give us everything we're supposed to have. Can I have my money back?
I'm asking, you can say
Well-
no.
Is this still in play, you're withdrawing it?
I'm withdrawing it one way.
You're
or
gonna have to withdraw it anyway.
I just did.
Okay, all right. Make a motion to allow the applicant to withdraw the plan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Okay, you're gonna submit a new one,
Yes,
okay? I think at that time, that's we usually take up whether we have the fee or not.
fine.
You just bring it, but all you gotta do is
I
change.
will bring a $300 check with me. I don't think the town accepts cash.
Yes,
That
they
would
do.
make things a lot more interesting down on the first floor.
Okay, next time, we always pick that up, Phil, as we said, at the next.
Yep, that's fine. Okay, thank you.
All right, that being done, the next item on the agenda,
Jack?
Al Sarabi Estates continuance,
Oh,
and
look, Jack, I just gave you,
he's Ross Collins.
Roscommon.
Why we,
because Kyle gave me a letter.
I know, but we don't,
Okay, just you don't want to read it?
no, I mean,
You got other things on there.
oh, for Roscommon?
It
Yeah,
came in
okay.
today, just
All right,
came
I'll
in.
just bang that out of here.
Oh, sorry.
All right. From Cal Baldoff to the planning board, on July 15th, we noted that the board has a request for final bond release on its agenda this evening. The project is nowhere ready for final release. This is Roscommon, I should say. We have attached the drafts, spreadsheets documenting the value of the work remaining, and it's greater than $700,000. As far as we know, the original bond is still at $2.89 million and still in place. The board may consider reduction. The board should discuss progress to complete the subdivision, and progress was steady last year, but not much has been accomplished this season. With that being said, I don't know, anybody here for Roscommon? No? Oh, okay. We're not gonna release anything, just stay in status quo. You want a final bond release, and we're not gonna reduce it because you have to ask for reduction. What happens is there's a bond on the road that it's gotta get complete. And until it's complete, we don't release the final bond. So,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't
Go
quite
ahead.
I'm quite not following.
yeah,
Could you just run it through that one more?
okay, your road, you live in Roscommons, right?
That's right, yes.
The road is,
Oh, my goodness.
I'm super-
Yeah, that little thing hides over here.
All right.
we'll give you $300 cash.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure I understood, because I know I'm gonna get questions, because other homeowners are going to be here, and
Okay,
they're not here yet.
under any subdivision in the state, you have to put up, the developer has to put a bond up to build all the road
Right,
and
we
everything.
understand that, yeah.
All right, and until such time that that road is complete and signed off by the town engineer saying everything's done,
Right,
we don't release it.
okay.
What we can do, they can ask for bond reduction, so he has almost $3 million worth of bond there. A lot of guys want that, they don't get money, there's no money, but it's either insurance bond or the tri-part way with the bank, they just reduce it. So they
Okay.
can ask for that, they didn't ask for that, they wanted a release for some reason. But, there's still, they got some issues that, so we're not doing anything with this tonight.
Tonight.
So the
Oh,
town
okay.
is saying that the project is not complete.
Complete, got it.
So
okay.
there's still work to be done, and we wanna
Okay.
make sure that that work is still
All right,
done.
thank you.
We were
Yeah.
gonna talk to what needs to be done.
Okay.
Oh, we'll be here all night with a list.
No, no. Gotcha.
And one of the things I'm gonna tell you is gonna
Thank you.
come up is Gigi's Way. Somehow Whitman Homes and Viano don't think that's part of this. Yes, it is.
It is.
It has to be, unless they did something else, and they did something totally,
Right.
legal's, I think, the term, because they're not supposed to split it off. It's supposed to all under one bond. And they haven't, they gotta build, the paddock's another one they're gonna have to build. You understand about that paddock? Probably not. You know where Gigi's Way is, right? Off of North Street, that one lot?
Right.
Part of the open space, they're supposed to build a paddock. That was part of the deal by Viano when he proposed it. So that's under the bond, so that's gonna get built too. They're kinda ignoring that, but if you look in your homeowner's documents, you guys all own that open space too, not just Gigi's Way. That's being marketed as like, oh, this is all yours. No, 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 no. Everybody has their own lot, but within the confines of Roscommons, all the open space is everybody's. All right, this will be a while. I think, didn't we give them an extension?
We did, they have a 2-year extension.
Yeah,
We gave
so
it
they got a
last
ways
week.
to go. Doesn't mean they have to wait the 2 years, but I don't know. Question for you guys, all the houses gone yet, sold, built?
All
Yes.
the homes are built
What's he waiting for?
and sold.
Yes.
For how long?
How long?
When would you say the last one sold?
Well, the last one sold about 2 or 3 weeks ago,
Oh, okay.
but that was being used as a demonstration house. But the last house, how long would you say?
Most residents were in by last fall.
Okay. You know, it could have been that the problem he has is to get everything done, to get accepted at fall town meeting, he's only got 2 months, he ain't gonna make it, so maybe he'll get it done this year and be accepted for next springs. It's to his advantage, or to do it, Because if you let anything go, you're gonna have to bring it back. So say the road collapses, he's gonna have to do it. The road erodes, he's gonna have to fix it. So if I'm a builder, I'm getting that done right away, because then I go like this, town takes it, so anything after that, the town now owns it instead of him.
And does the planning committee, do you then communicate to him where things stand as a result of tonight's meeting? Will you be
Yeah.
back in touch with him?
Yeah, we're
to
gonna
let
tell
him
him
know?
there's no bond release. There's nothing to do. And just so you guys understand, you can tell the neighbors, before we release the bond, the final blessing, everybody on the street gets a notification to come in and say if you have any issues, not with the house, but if, you know, there's a broken curb or pothole. We do that, it's been done that as long as I've been here, because you don't want at town meeting, someone says, well, this failed here. We want the neighbors to address it before we say, okay, and that usually works out, so everybody knows that it's done. The other thing is you can point out stuff to us that, you know,
That's
may
great,
not say.
Jack. How do you notify us? By mail?
Mail, yes.
Okay.
And that's, I wouldn't say it's gonna be this year, so.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can I have Jack's letter back?
Jack's what?
The letter.
Do you
Can
have the letter,
I
Jack?
have Kyle's letter back, please?
Kyle's letter? This was mine. Oh, the other?
Yeah.
I didn't get, on Roscommons, I don't have it.
Yep, oh, you don't have it?
No. I read it, but I don't know where it went.
Okay.
Later.
All right. Got another Phil Mackey one, we can bang that out too, it's for an extension of time for site plan and special, just site plan for Paragon Investments, at Spring and West Street, and the deal with that is, it's not going on until the 19th of August, and I think our time is up
Couple of days beforehand.
couple days before, so they've requested that we just, they're gonna give us an extension through the end of August, so that we don't have any issue.
We'll clearly extend again, but we'll do that as the hearing's open.
Okay, so, this isn't even open here, we're just getting an extension in advance of this, so I make a motion to allow the applicant, time up through August 31st, 2021 for Spring and West Street site plan.
Second?
Have a second, any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay.
Thank you.
Now, boom,
That's right.
boom, boom, boom. Al Sarabi. Yep, now I got Kyle's letter here.
Jack, these are comments that have come in.
All right, Mr. American, this is yours to run with.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dan Merrickin, Legacy Engineering, here on behalf of the applicant with Phil Mackey. Since our last meeting, we've just basically dotted the i's and crossed the t's. Did a few minor things to tweak on the plan. We added the road name, which is Al Sarabi Way. We added a common mailbox. We added some notes, addressed a few comments from the town engineer. We also, down at the back of Lot 3, where there's an existing disturbance in the old planning board buffer across the back, we've proposed a replanting scheme with some signs there, some trees, some bushes, and the whole area is being longer and seeded, and then 2 existing structures in that area are going to be relocated. So I believe you have a memo from the Board of Health. I believe you have a memo from the fire department. As far as I know, those are all squared away. Phil submitted the draft legal documents, covenants and restrictions, and the O&M documents. That's been submitted to you for your consideration. So there's really nothing big to talk about. The Conservation Commission did close the hearing last night and approve the project.
Okay, I'll read the comments from Fire Chief Timmy Bailey. Street name request, they approved American Way. Al Sarabi Way is approved. Sewer and Water, at their meeting on July 12th, they voted 4-0-0, no additional comments from the original June. Paul Barry, where is the date? Oh, July 13th. And from Deputy Fire Chief and the Fire Department, consulted with the applicant's engineer, and we find the proposed hydrant locations on C8 acceptable. We also place a reminder of section 18.2.2.11 of CMR 527. All access roads shall be subject to the AHJ and capable of supporting the imposed loads of fire apparatus and provided with an all-weather surface. Landscaping appears to be set back sufficiently on C8, and final planting location should take in consideration for future growth onto the road. So that's from the fire department. Water and sewer, I just read that. What I don't the police department, same thing, they do not have, this goes back to May 19th, they don't have any additional comments. You alluded to, and I got Carl Baldos here in a second, is you had something from the, it's not even on town, that's why it looked like a letter. From the health director, the Board of Health at the June 21st meeting granted the health director authority to provide comments on their behalf due to the abbreviated summer schedule. The board will not be meeting prior to the public hearing for the above referenced project. Therefore, the health director approves the definitive subdivision, but urges the applicant to adopt the standard best practice for mosquito mitigation and work with Norfolk County Mosquito Control for spraying and standing water treatments of the wetlands that are present on the property, institute regular cleaning gutters, provide proper grading of the buffer zones in order to prevent low points that draw and hold water. In addition, the applicant must address trash and recycling pickup. The applicant should also be required to submit, individual septic plans. So you have that, and I got, why do I keep missing Carl's?
So just a refresher on this, this is where we're seeking to do this as a private way. We're looking to take the existing driveway, widen it, convert it to a private way. There's a list of ways that go along with that. We have provided the conventional design as part of the plan set, but we're hoping that the board will approve this as a private way project.
Jeez, I could have sworn I saw, did we get one for Carl for the 15th? Oh, here it is. No,
Carl sent the memo in, yeah.
I got the 7th. Is that the latest?
I think so.
Okay, because it's all over the place, 777. Okay, from Carl Baldoff, town engineer, in a memorandum entitled, Al Sarabi Estates to the town departments, requested comments, and he had a 12-sheet, 24 by 36 plan, and he had a 3-page letter from Drew Houghton of Engineer of Legacy Engineering to the Planning and Conservation Board on June 29th. We reviewed the revised submitted plans and response letter and agree with the responses provided in the June 29th letter. That includes 11 additional items listed on page 3 of said letter. Only a few minor comments, as well as recommendations for special conditions. And have you guys seen this?
Yeah.
All right.
We've agreed to all of them.
You know what I got?
Hopefully you sent us.
I'm gonna pull a Don Johnson on you. Sheet C5 layout, new comment request, information of covenant be added to note 1. Sheet C11, riprap check dam has been added. General, this office previously recommended a homeowners association, which I understand you've just submitted this week, right?
Yes.
So Kyle hasn't had a shot at that. And I suggest the board include the following items of similar special conditions. The references made to registry plan 227 of 1997 and deed book 1173, page 715, for the previous established 100-foot buffer that is shown on lot 1 and 3. And the conditions of private approval buffer are not modified except allow the items as required by sheet C6, which basically says you're gonna put it back the way you guys show it. The road remain private. The removal of the building restoration work within the 100-foot planning board buffer on Lot 3 shall be accomplished and approved by the planning board prior to the issuance of the first building permit. Subsequent building permit may be also withheld if shrubs and trees do not thrive and require placement. Number of lots in this subdivision are limited to 4. So that's Kyle's comments on this. Now, I don't see any other comments, but I will turn it over to any members of public here.
I actually have to address some comments that you gave us homework last.
Oh, we gave you homework?
You did.
All right. Shoot.
At the last hearing, Attorney Timpson, who's not here this evening, raised 5 issues, and you said go and try and resolve them. I'm gonna rehash a little bit of what Dan just did, because that's where we are, but to cross the T's and dot the I's. His 5 issues were basically, he was requesting that all buildings and structures in the 100-foot buffer zone be removed. It's clearly shown on the plan that they are being removed or relocated outside. His second item, and I am not necessarily sure he would number them this way, so I'm taking a little bit of literary license. There are 5 items, and this is the way I have mine. But nonetheless, was to restore the 100-foot wetlands buffer zone, and that is the subject of the order of conditions that was approved last night. So we would submit that has or will be accomplished. His third item was to plant some trees in the 100-foot vegetated buffer, and I'm trying to keep the 2 separate because they are actually different things. As you can see on Dan's plan, we've added 8 trees staggered to not only fill in the space, but hopefully create some more buffer, as well as 15 shrubs. At least 2 of the trees are on the location of where the barn is currently, so we are actually planting trees where they should have been initially. So we believe we've addressed that one. Item 4 was he was asking for signage identifying the limit of the planning board 100-foot buffer. And again, on the definitive plan, we show 3 signs, 1 on each lot, that shows the edge of the buffer. And the last one is he requested that we look at using wood chips instead of loaming and seeding in our restoration efforts. It's not part of the notice of intent, but we did float the idea by the Conservation Commission, and we're roundly chastised for suggesting the same. Because quite bluntly, it's not the best practice in their mind. So we're loaming and reseeding with a native upland seed mix, and that is actually noted on the plans. So you will have a variety of different plants growing. It's not Kentucky bluegrass. That I think was really his issue. He didn't want to put a lawn there, and that's not the intent. So those were the homework items. And other than not putting on wood chips, basically in accordance with best practices, we've, I believe, accommodated everything that was discussed. He's not here to say that's good or bad, but that's what we did. I have a copy for you. And as you brought up, Mr. Chairman, Carl and I talked about both the mutual maintenance agreement and covenant for the private way at length 2 weeks ago, but he didn't actually get the written document until Monday. I would presume, and he's not here, so I can't speak for him, that he and I will sit down and hammer them out. But basically, we're using the same templates that this board has used for at least every private way that I've been involved with. I have copies here, and I'm happy to discuss them with you this evening if you'd like, or if you want to wait for his comments. We can do it at the next hearing. But as far as engineering goes, I'm not meeting to speak for Dan. I think we're at the point where it's now just making the documents meet the plans and it's satisfactory to your board.
Okay. I'll ask the board what they think on the grass, and I'll start again with John. The grass versus wood chips.
We're talking down at the
Yeah. at
south
the-
edge of the
Yeah.
property?
We're talking in this area right here. So the Conservation Commission won't allow wood chips in the 100-foot wetland buffer zone. So I guess the only issue is whether you would want wood chips instead of grass
All right, well,
in the rest of it.
You answered that, at least my ant
Yeah.
question, it's, you can't put it there.
No, wood chips don't prevent the soil from eroding unless it's
Right.
constantly maintained, so you want to vegetate.
You want something that's gonna dig in.
Yes, it needs to be vegetated.
Yeah. I agree, yeah.
You all set? Kate?
Yeah.
Yeah, if conservation doesn't want wood chips, and I agree, you need something there rooted, so I agree.
Phil?
Grass is better, I'm good with that.
Sarah?
Fine.
Okay. Grass is better, okay. I guess we got that settled, so I'll have to open up to the public. Anybody here for Al Wasabi Way?
Also,
Al Sarab, you know, almost next to the last one, and I almost get it right. I booted it. All right, no members of the public, okay. So I guess what we'll have to do is just continue it.
I have a question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
More or less a bookkeeping, it looks like on C9,
okay.
sub-profile A, I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking at, but I'm guessing it's the slope of the road.
C9 is that's a section through the stormwater basin, 2.
Okay,
So that's off the road. So it's,
Okay.
it's starting at the, so if you look at the plan view, that's a profile cut along this pipe. So it starts at this manhole,
Okay.
runs along the path of this pipe, which is through an easement outside the road, and then it cuts through the basin, through the outlet of the basin.
my question is, are the markings on the bottom of that chart reversed?
What do you mean?
Well, shouldn't the low point be at point 0, basically, and you're going uphill? And this looks like it's showing the opposite?
The low point should be 0. I'm not sure I'm following.
Okay, well,
Wanna show me where?
the beginning point is listed as 3 plus 0, 0, then
Yeah.
it goes to 2 plus 75. And that's going towards the street, I believe, right?
Well, we just chose to station it from the drain manhole through the basin. That's all. It's kind of arbitrary, how you choose to station it. So we stationed it so that,
Okay, so you're saying,
so 0 is the manhole, and then we stationed it this way through
Okay.
the stormwater basins.
that's the only issue I had.
Okay, so I'll keep going. Katie, any other issues other than,
Dan, this is more of my memory issue. I have notes from a prior meeting, if you can clarify if they've been addressed.
Sure.
The HOA you just discussed, I had the neighbors were concerned with the ledge water issue. Was that,
I mean, we have ledge. The stormwater management system's been reviewed and approved by the town engineer, and it's been approved by the conservation commission.
okay. And then the other one, I guess, would be a condition would put in, was just about the construction trucks, so I'm all set.
okay. Phil?
I don't think I really have a lot. One thing on the snow plan, I think that was on sheet,
On the profile sheet, right?
yeah, sheet 8, I think it was.
C8.
Snow removal.
I mean,
So there's only one, it looks like there's only one snow storage area, am I right in that?
in the town,
What?
it's a private road, so you're gonna plow this, everything's gonna be windrowed to both sides of the road, and at the end in the cul-de-sac, there'll be a pile of snow.
Okay,
That's the way it gets done.
yeah, I don't think of anything else then.
Okay, Sarah?
Yeah, so, on the letter from the deputy fire chief,
Yep.
the way I read that, it's not quite an approval. He's saying that you must meet, the AHJ, you know, the authority having the jurisdiction and be capable of supporting those loads.
That he's restating the fire code. I mean, it's a paved road, it
Yeah.
will meet that requirement. So you can insert that as a condition if you'd like.
Yeah, so, and then along that same line, so you've shown a section of the new road, you know,
Yeah.
including the binder course and all that, but we don't have anything of the existing. So how are you actually showing that what's there is going to support those loads?
So we talked about, in previous meetings with Carl, that when we go out and trench in our new utilities, we're gonna check the existing paved thickness, we're gonna check the gravel thickness, and then, you know, if it's not satisfactory, Carl will make them redo it.
Okay, so that's part of the plan,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know if that's something that we can condition, but,
Yep.
okay.
Can I interrupt you, Sarah? I'm
Sure,
sorry to do so. Am I remembering correctly that at the past meetings, you guys thought that this pavement was better than most because he had done it for himself?
The applicant's a contractor.
Yes,
This
and I
pavement's-
thought we had a
this
discussion about
pavement's
that.
3 times better than
Yeah.
Starlight Drive.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't mixing it up.
Contractors do everything 3 times better?
I'm just saying,
Wow,
the
I'm gonna
condition of the
record that
road
one.
is way better than Starlight Drive, which has been repaved since this driveway was installed.
3 times better, okay.
Okay, a few other things. So on C4, which you label a no waiver plan,
Yep.
it's showing private 46 wide. So is that, I know you would like to do it private, but
Oh,
this should be, you know, a non-wavered
Yeah,
plan,
it's-
right?
So that shouldn't say private. I mean, it is technically a private way. Even after you approve it, it's a private way until the town accepts it at town meeting.
Right,
So it's an accurate representation, but if you guys approve, the private way scenario, sheet C4 comes out of the plan. It won't be in the final plan. What'll be in the final plan is what you vote as the waived plan. So the no waiver plans will go away.
right. Typically, we see like a non-wavered plan showing the full build-out, you know, the full road width with the sidewalk, the grass plot, and so I don't see that on the non-wavered plan.
That's C7. You have a profile of the non-wavered plan.
Okay,
That has all that information.
Ah,
So C7 and C4 will come out if you approve the waiver plan.
okay, okay. Is it possible to just take out that private way note on the non-wavered plan?
Sure.
Okay, and then back to C10, the roadway section.
Yep.
So here you've shown the 20-foot road width, and then the 46-foot roadway layout, which means that you have a 3-foot grass strip, basically, but there's a note under that variable that it's a 5-foot grass strip.
Well, it's variable because in the waived plan, we're dealing with existing grass strips throughout, so we don't have, you know, the width of the, kind of the leveled grass area left and right varies through that length.
But you've labeled it 23.
Well, the 23 goes from the center line to the edge of the right-of-way.
Right. So, my question is just why do you have that 5-foot grass strip? That note? It's over
Where's
to the
note?
right?
Oh, that's a typo. That should be gone.
Okay. Okay. And then I had wondered about Concom. And that's it, the gun club. Yep, okay, thank you.
Okay. At the meeting last night, or whenever we had it for Concom, any changes made to the plans? So what we have is what they have.
Correct.
All right.
One quick question. I see a note here from Water and Sewer dated June 3rd, 2021. There's a mention of requesting the applicant loop the water line from Lot 3 to Boulder, I'm guessing. Was anything done in that direction?
But we can't. We don't have any ownership rights on the Boulder Trail,
Okay.
or easement rights for that matter.
What's that?
Okay. All right, so we'll pick this up next time, and it appears that we're all satisfied other than the O and Ms or whatever, okay? Okay, do we have,
First, I need an extension, and it would be August 19th. We have,
no, don't tell them until we get the extension. Come on, let's go. Chop, chop.
Bristol subdivision.
Requests and grant an extension of time in which the board can act on the application up to and including August 31st.
good
What,
date,
30th?
okay.
Is there 31 days in August? I mean.
Well, if there's only 30, Phil screwed up in the previous one, Dan. So, okay, I'll make a motion to allow the applicant to continue to take action, allowing us to take action up through August 31st, 2021.
Second.
I have a second from Phil. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Okay. What do we got for next time?
We have Bristol, but that, I'm not sure what that will do. We have 7:15 New World, 7:20 Lincoln Estates, and 7:30 Mr. Mackey with West Street, Spring Street.
What is Bristol? What was that?
That's the subdivision that they keep continuing.
What was that?
I'm sorry.
Where is that?
For the age qualified.
The AQB up on West Street.
Oh, that, yeah, that's, yeah, we only have it here. Well, we'll put him right after, is other or before? What do you think? Yeah, cause he'll be here a long time for the other, and you don't have to be, right?
Well, we're on for I'm here for New World.
What time's that on?
7:15.
All right, but you don't wanna be after Phil's Spring Street.
I would rather not.
I defer to Mr. American on this one.
Okay, what's the time right before it?
7:14,
It's for him?
and then 7:15 is New World.
It's for Dan? No, before
Phil is
Phil's.
Phil is at 7:30.
All right, 7:29. Okay, we will continue this public hearing for Al Sarabi Estates at August 19th at 7:29. No more notice, this is it, just like everything else, once it's been noticed, okay? See you, Dan.
Thanks for your
See you,
time.
Phil, okay.
Please.
Yep. Don't email it, Phil. We have issues. It's like sending out abatements, they seem to have issues in the computer department. So, all right, now, moving on.
Thank you.
We have 3 hearings coming up, and we have, first one is a special permit for 1427-1429 Main Street. We have a site plan for 1427, 1429, and we have a subdivision for Marion, okay? Just so everybody who's here, just so they understand, the special permit and site plan are tied together, and what we'll do is we always combine them together. We vote separate because there's so much stuff going back and forth, you just put them together. The subdivision will definitely be done separate. You can't mix the subdivision with this stuff, because subdivision is not the same as a site plan. And for anybody to understand about subdivision, you're dividing lands like putting houses. What site plan is, they wanna build a building like they have there now. That's more of our stuff as opposed to Mass General laws on subdivisions, okay? And that's why we're gonna keep the first ones together and the last one separate. So with that being said, we have 7:15, 7:16 for case 2103, special permit, and case 2102, site plan for 1427, 1429 Main Street. And the first issue I guess I gotta raise is, okay, go ahead, introduce yourself, Chris.
Sure. Attorney Christopher Alphin with Plattman, Bobrowski, and Haverty here for the applicant, 1429 Main Street LLC.
Okay, do you have the rest of this? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
All I got is this. There's everything else.
That's all it really is. Those are the
What about
comments
the-
and the ads right there in front of you.
Oh, the okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Question or issue, the application filed, the only owner listed is John Marini, whatever the name of his company is, but you do have people in those condo units that are also owners. I noticed that you had when you sent out cards, you sent them out as abutters, which they're not. So,
Well, yeah, it's an interesting point. The condominium actually has a clause in it. So when you talk about condominium ownership, what controls is the master deed. And in this particular master deed, it has something that's actually pretty unique, which allows my client to take property from the condominium. So he has right to take away property from the condominium. So it's kind of an interesting title right that he has solely to himself. He doesn't need the consent of any of the condominium owners in order to do that. That's part of the master deed, it's part of the recorded record. Anybody who bought condominiums in that condominium project would know about that clause. It's just an interesting title situation. You don't often see it. It's not the first time I've seen it, but it's a pretty unique thing. So he has control over that property in order to take that property away.
Okay, I understand that before we open up, but
Yep.
you have that clause, which I assume when you guys filed it, he would have had. But that would have, to me, as a former condo owner, that would have meant that I have to sign the application because I'm still an owner. I'm not an abutter, but I have no rights to not sign it.
Right, so when you're talking about the actual application, what we're actually doing here is the application is just related to taking the property away that he controls, not necessarily changing the decision that encumbers the property that they own. So the owners of the property that are related to our modification have signed the application, and the other owners don't need to sign off on this particular application because it's a modification to land that he owns. It's the land that he owns separate from the condominium, or at least he has the rights to it, and he is asking pretty much for a release, more or less, of those decisions. So I would argue that we wouldn't need the condominium to sign off on that. But I understand and appreciate the question.
Well, we'll also keep spinning this till we open, is the fact that you sent cards to the people who live there as abutters, but they're not abutters.
Well, it doesn't hurt that they got notice,
Yeah, but it's being sent as an abutter.
right?
So you're either an owner or you're an abutter.
Well, I mean, the fact that they got notification doesn't make our application somehow defective. They got notification, they are a butter to the situation that's going on, to the specific lot that we're looking to get a release. So the part that we're looking for a release, they're a butter to. So they probably should get notification. It would probably be an error if we didn't give them notification.
So you're telling me that the condo docs, the master deed has in it, that line there saying he owns this, he owns it or he has rights to it?
He has rights to it.
And
And
then- and
when you're
they-
talking about condominium law, it's pretty much, the master deed controls ownership, and so that clause is in there. So at any given time, I think it's actually, he has a limit to like 2040. He has until then to take the property away at any given time, for any reason.
So you're saying, we don't have any to that effect? I mean, we're gonna need it, because.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I'm happy to provide that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have it. I mean, we can't sit here and just believe you, right? You have to show us.
Yeah, I think in my memo, I think I referenced the page. What I did was I just referenced the master deed. I didn't think that you wanted a 50-page master deed, but I'm happy to provide that to the board.
Well, we're gonna need something to evidence what you're saying, is that if it's in the master deed, I mean, we wouldn't be doing our due diligence here just by you coming in and saying it's all set.
Yep, no, that's fair. I do think that we can continue, however, as, ownership rights are obviously not necessary in the purview of the planning board, and that's something that we'll obviously have to prove. Everything is subject to making sure that we have the title rights to do that. But I don't think that, the planning board shouldn't continue with the hearing until we figure that out.
Okay, well, we do, as far as ownership, it's the application, applicant, owner. That's where we fall
Yep.
as part of this whole thing.
That's
So,
fair.
okay, I know all the people in the audience, I'll just explain it, that, we will hear from the applicant, we'll read any of the comments we have, and the board will have any comments, and at the end, we'll allow each and every one of you, if you have questions, comments, please hold to then, so you can at least hear it out, so, okay?
Sure.
Hey, I need where's all the stuff here that I read?
The ad right in front of you,
Oh, this, okay.
this too.
Okay. Okay, notice hereby given on Thursday, May 20th, and this was continued to this time. 7/16, a special permit application from Christopher Alpin, attorney for 1429 Main Street LLC, assessors map 40, parcel 149, and zoning district residents, is seeking a special permit on the town bylaws as shown as modification of site plan approval, decision 1409, and special permit case 1410. I'm not gonna read the whole litany of the partners. And the next one, we'll run them concurrent, is notice hereby given a public hearing Thursday, May 20th, which was then continued to now to 7/17, a site plan application from Christopher Alpin for case 2102, being located 1427, 1429 Main Street, Walpole, for assessors map 40, parcel 149, residence B, property located is, I'm sorry, the owner of the property is 1420 Main Street LLC. And we are doing this as site plan and special permit, and this is specifically dealing with the business end of it, correct?
Yep, that's fair. So as you know, I think we were in here before on a determination of whether it was a major or a minor modification to the site plan application. But just as a review of what we're proposing here, the condominium project here was approved, had site plan approval and special permit approval to allow mixed-use condominiums. We are proposing, as we were just discussing, about removing a certain portion of the property in order to develop it, and that's part of our later definitive subdivision plan, in order to extend the private way here, create a circle here, a cul-de-sac to provide frontage, to make this a buildable lot. The purpose of doing this is, I read the decisions a few times now, since this has been going on for a couple years now, and I reread the decisions again today. And, the decision doesn't really take into account this portion of the property too much. There is a provision in there and a condition in there about a buffer, but otherwise, the purpose of this section of the property is kind of left neglected, and it's, in practice, this has been left neglected. You have condominiums here that are just sort of have this back portion of the property that's kind of not being used at all. It's been abandoned, and it's not very pretty. And my client's proposal is to take that part, have the special permit and the site plan not encumber this portion, and be able to develop this property as its own, as a buildable lot for a residential home. John, we have some comments from the town engineer, which we've reviewed. We need to meet with him. It's our failure that we haven't met with him yet since his letter was issued. We'd like the opportunity to meet with him to go over some of the issues that he pointed out. But one of the things he spoke about was the benefits of a modification like this. From his letter, he said that this, allowing this modification would allow fire access to the back of this portion of the property. It would reduce the stormwater if this is to be a developed property. And it allows a turnaround for DPW vehicles and for public safety vehicles. Obviously, we have existing right now is a cul-de-sac. And if we are able to get a modification, we're gonna be able to put this cul-de-sac here to create a turnaround for safety and DPW vehicles. And like I said, I think it uses an underutilized property. And it also provides housing, which is, something that's very necessary and in high demand in Walpole right now. I'll turn it over to John to talk about some of the technical plan, and he'll go over the new site plan that we would propose to replace the existing site plan.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Yeah, we're just gonna stick with this, right?
Okay, but I think
We're just gonna stick with this.
I understand, I want the residents to understand, I gotta jump, John, and I'll make it easier for you, is you're just cutting the property off, so nothing where all you people live will change. He just wants to do that back 40, so to speak, if you understand that.
No, I don't know where you're talking about. Are you talking on the Dunkin' Donuts side?
No, behind you,
Okay.
where you come off of Marion Street, that whole,
Next to my barn. Yeah.
all that
What's behind
overgrown.
me?
Yep,
Where all those
Yep.
awful.
that's,
Everything in my condo, yes. They let overrun our property.
so nothing is,
For now, okay, the planning board is just asking me to explain the changes to the site plan and show how the changes still allow the site plan to meet zoning, right? Because we can't just hack off some land and make the lot non-conforming. It's the same with anybody who owns land in Walpole. You can't hack off some of your land and give it to your neighbor or sell it to your neighbor and make your lot non-conforming. Because this is a business, it's a little bit, there's a little bit more stuff versus a residential. So that's what I'm gonna go over and explain that to the board and turn this way, so.
yeah, just turn it, yeah, yeah, we're gonna see it.
You can see it? Okay. So, obviously, we all know where the piece of property is next to Dunkin' Donuts. So the Dunkin' Donuts is over here. This is a single-family house here. This is the end of Marion Street here, so this is number 18 here. And what's in green here essentially is the sort of unused piece of property right now. This is the building existing that was built, what, like 4 or 5 years ago? This is the parking in the front. So none of this is changing, none of this is being proposed to change. Just gonna go over the zoning requirements in the zone. And the zone line, there's two different zones on this piece of property. So here's the Residence B zone here. It's not shown here, but I believe it's a certain distance, 150 feet or something, back from 1A, back from Main Street, and that defines where the zone line is. And then, so that's business on this side, and that's residential B, which is obviously a residential zone on the other side. Just quickly, the residential B zone requires 125 feet of frontage on a public street, and it requires a minimum of a 20,000 square foot lot. So there's a fairly large piece of property here that may or may not allow that to happen. So right now, I'm just gonna look at the zoning schedule over here. So for the business zone, we need to have 15,000 square feet minimum lot size. And the lot that we're proposing, we haven't actually created this yet, but the lot that we're proposing would be 17,180 square feet. So we can kind of check that off and say that that's gonna meet that requirement. We have to have frontage of at least 100 feet on a public street. So Route 1A, it's a state highway, it's a public street. We have 124 feet of frontage on Route 1A. The maximum lot coverage by structure, so if this was a house, that would just be your house, not your driveway or your pool or anything else. The maximum is 40% in the business zone. This building is covering 22% of the lot area, not this whole lot, but just where we're proposing this lot line. The lot coverage by all impervious, so that includes the driveway, the parking area, the sidewalks, anything that's deemed to be impervious in the zoning bylaw. In the business zone, the max is 70%. Pretty high number, but in the business zone, you have to have parking and all sorts of stuff. So it's a pretty high number. We're at 68.2%, so we meet the requirement there. There's another requirement in other zones for minimal usable open space, but there's no requirement in the business zone for that. Now, the setbacks, minimum setback, in the business zone, there's a minimum setback and a maximum setback. The minimum being 15, maximum 25. This building is 73.9 feet back from the street, but it's an existing building that was built with a building permit, so even though we're not meeting this, it's an existing situation. So it's something we're not changing, we're not making the building any farther back or closer to the street, it's staying at the same location. So by zoning, the way it works, we meet that. The side yard, the requirement is 6 feet, and the building is 8.3 feet right here, the closest place off of the lot line. That's the lot line closest to the Dunkin' Donuts property. So we meet that. And again, we're not really changing those lines. Those were all dimensions that were proposed in the way the building was built when it was built 4 or 5 years ago. But we are changing the rear line. So the rear line requirement is 20 feet, and we're going to be 21.5 feet off of the rear line. So that is one place where we're changing it, right here, because right now the rear line is this line here, but we meet the requirement. And then the building height, we're not changing the building height, but the building height is 40 feet, and that building, for the maximum allowed, and that building is 37.3 feet high. So that's why we're here asking the planning board if they will amend the site plan approval to allow the changes to the zoning table to be this, but we're still, at least in our opinion, meeting the requirements. And the other thing in the business zone is the number of parking spaces. Well, I guess we just have a legend. So we're not really changing the parking, so whatever was approved before, that's what's gonna be there now. So unless you have any questions for me, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board, I'll turn it back to you, Chris.
It's going over.
No, I was just asking John, that's fine. No, it's fine.
Okay, I get comments?
Our house, John, can you point
Excuse-
to
ma'am?
a barn on 18 Marion?
Right here?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, right
Yeah,
here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That property is skewed. It looks bigger than what it is.
I get your septic system. You bought it from Ruth, right, Chamberlain?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully it's still working.
Okay, I'll read the comments that we have. One we have from Board of Health, dated May 19th. They voted unanimously at the May 18th meeting that they do not have any comments at this time. They noted that prior to construction, they have to have a septic plan submitted, but I know this is incorrect because it's on town sewer.
No.
What do you know? Oh, what?
No, that'll be on
What will be on septic? The building?
the house in the back.
Yeah, but you're not doing the site, this is for the site plan, John, not the subdivision.
Well, when it comes time to do the subdivision, right, in the future.
This is what we have in.
Yeah.
For the special you wanna put a septic? Have at it.
The building, the existing building's connected to sewer.
Yes, yeah, that's why I wanted to say that to you.
Yeah, okay.
We had Carl Baldoff's, items here that I think you've gone through, and you said you're gonna have to meet with them. He had a bunch of them that you guys are gonna have to go through there, just to, he's got some questions. Walls, trees, and that type of engineering type stuff. And I know, and Carl sent that on May 13th, so, and this is really the opening, so you guys will be talking to the town engineer. All right, and all that being said, kinda struck out with everybody else. We got engineering, but we don't have fire, and we don't have police, we don't have sewer, and I don't know if we're ever gonna get anything out of zoning, so. I don't know why, but do you wanna ring them up and find
Yeah.
out what's up?
We will.
We will.
Okay. You're never gonna get anything out of the building inspector, he never responds, and community development, oh yeah, we got nothing out of them either. Conservation, we didn't get anything
It was the
either.
water and sewer for May 13th.
I don't see it
Fire,
in here.
police, water, and sewer, and
What I got, I didn't see it, John.
It was mixed in with some of the other notes, but
Had that?
it was mixed in with one of Kate's packages and El Sarabi.
Oh, okay, the recent, okay, they do have it dated May 13th, at their most recent hearing, May 10th, from water, well, they have no comments subdividing, that has nothing to do with this, and no concerns with, that's, save that, if you wanna hold that, John, we'll save that for the subdivision, it's still gonna need stuff for this.
for the site plan.
Yeah, yeah, we need, it kinda sounds redundant, but you got two things in front of us. And now, we'll start over here again. Kate, you want to go first?
No, my question was pretty simple, but, so you showed in the back it was changing to 21.5 feet. How deep is the area that you're taking?
So on the right side, well, I'm gonna just, can I give you 240 feet? Is that good? On the right side, it's 241.56 feet.
But what's the change, John? Do you have any idea what the change is? That's what I'm asking. So what's the gain or the loss?
Well, the loss would be 241 or whatever. Out of
the
original
the
381
rear
or 382.
line, the dimension for the rear setback before would have been 21.5 plus 2, so about 262 feet to this line back here.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, my comment is not, it doesn't pertain to just you guys, but just from my job, I see so many condo owners that have no idea what's in the docs. And I think it's just, it's not targeted just at you guys, but it's wrong. It should be, they're regular people, they're not lawyers, they don't know the legalese. In the docs, it gives in some places and takes back in other places, and, you know, I think that they're trusting when they buy something, and I think it's lousy that they weren't aware. And it's not limited to just this, I see it all the time. I think it's wrong the way they're written up and it's handled. But-
Yeah, I mean, for the record, I'm surprised that every condo owner, you know, didn't know that. You know, I do real estate all the time, and I review the condominium documents, and these condominium documents, there's actually a plan of land as an exhibit, which I will provide to the board. But I totally agree with you that if somebody.
The average person doesn't know how
Right.
to read them, and the average person has a mortgage attorney and isn't represented by an attorney who explains it to them, so, yeah, it's lousy, but
That's all?
that's all I've got.
John?
I don't see anything we haven't already addressed previously, I don't think. That's there.
Okay. Phil?
So are we waiting on Carl's comments for another time then?
Yeah, they're gonna have to continue.
So we won't go through his
No,
comments?
no, because he's gonna have to clean them up.
Clean 'em up.
He also owes us the master deed, and so this will be continued. Plus, we haven't even got into the subdivision, so.
And there's no, one thing he mentioned, there's no special permit in the package?
There actually was, it's just a one-pager, because I put a memo together,
Okay.
but I re-reviewed because I saw that, and I re-reviewed my application, and I did have a special permit application in there, so I
So
think
we
you
do-
might have just missed it.
So we do
because
have it in our,
It's really small, so you might have just missed it. When we meet with them, I'll point that out to them.
okay, and tell us, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess just one question on the master deed then. So is that something that, the condominium owners need to, agree with? I mean, how is it?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, what the master deed says is it basically says at any given time, the original declarant, who is my client at this time, my client could take that property. And it shows the property as an exhibit. This is, at any time before 2040 or something like that, I forget the exact date. He has the rights to do that. So we reserve his rights to take property away in the master deed obviously on purpose.
And you're gonna give us a copy of that,
Yeah,
take a look
absolutely.
at that. So, I guess I don't really have any questions, I have a lot of questions that Carl has, but we'll just follow up, but if we're gonna wait on that, I'll wait on
Yeah.
those two then.
Okay. Sarah?
Okay, so, at this mixed-use building, then there are 5 condos, is that correct?
Yeah, there's 5 condos, yeah.
Okay, okay, and then, just as a point of clarification then for, so the site plan modification and the special permit modification is basically just, adjusting the zoning, like adjusting, the square footage and setbacks and things.
Right,
Is that-
we're basically just taking away land.
Okay.
So that land wouldn't be encumbered by the special permit and the site plan review application.
Okay.
Approval.
Okay. In the DIS, it asks for, a description, it says, see memo attached.
What is the,
I didn't see that memo.
that's a Walpole
Yeah.
acronym. I should be familiar with, but I'm not yet. What was the question, sorry?
Well, it just, in the description of the, of the application, it just says, see attached memo.
Yeah,
For the
so I-
site plan review, the modification that you submitted to us. So the question is, the following is a request for site plan review under section 13 to allow, and then it just says, see memorandum of law attached.
Yeah, because because we're not applying to build a project, we're asking for a modification. So we filled out the application as if it was as if it was a site plan application, but what it really is a modification. So we're just taking away the land. So in our particular instance, the question doesn't really apply to us, because we're not applying under a certain section. Although I think there's a section in your bylaw about modifications to site plan. So that would be the section.
Okay,
I don't think so.
so, all right, so I was expecting to see something attached, explaining
Oh, no, yeah, I have
whatever
a, I,
whatever
well, I
you
put
were
a-
referring to.
I put a memo drafted by me that's 4 pages long in front of the application.
A memo
A
drafted by
legal
you.
memorandum.
Okay, let me
I'm not finding anything else.
look for that. Okay. And then, in both of the decision, it refers to a landscape and fence plan. And I think especially, given the little bit that we've heard from the neighbors, I think that's important for us to see exactly what, the applicant had agreed to, and we can, check if that has been done. And then I'll save the other comments for the subdivision. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, comments, John? Explain.
Concerning,
No, you already, I'm sorry, John Glosser. Hello, here we go. Explain to me why only 21.5 feet buffer? Because our rules require 26 feet when abutting a business abuts a residential. Me and Mr. Marini went round and round on this down on Plimpton Street, so
That's true.
we're required to have a 26-foot buffer, and it's also gonna have to extend beyond the, I don't even know how you pronounce that, Pocamolo, or whatever the name is, property. So however that, you're gonna have to go 26 feet out from that, however that works out, layout-wise. Kinda like-
So, are you saying 26-foot buffer, the buffer has to be within his property, within?
No, you're gonna have to, it should be shown on here.
Yeah, okay.
It has to be shown on here.
Yeah,
We,
okay.
so I would assume what's gonna happen if your subdivision doesn't show it, it should have shown 26 foot out for the buffer. Because right now, the buffer, we went through this with John Marini before, he's got, 150 feet up to,
Yeah,
because it was all vacant land before.
Yeah, you're right.
So now you need that 26-foot buffer from residential to business. And however it goes to that house next to it, I know that was reduced to 13 at that portion, but now you're asking for a whole new thing. So you're gonna have to do some geometrical, however it goes, to make that all work. Okay? So, I imagine that's gonna affect the next upcoming filing, correct?
Maybe?
Maybe?
No, I think it-
Yeah. That's
So, that was my I see this right off the bat, so you're gonna have to do that without a doubt. Did you do the original one, John? You did the original one too?
No, Paul Broderick did site design.
Okay, that I don't remember, that's what, because everybody's getting antsy about the buffer with the fence, doesn't matter, there's the whole buffer guide way up here,
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
26.
whatever the requirement is, okay. So with that being said,
Can I just ask one other
yep.
question? One other quick question. So the current condominium, does it own, is it taking care of that empty lot?
No, it's, well, no, it's not, yeah.
It's not empty, it's just,
So it's not part of the.
it's natural.
I mean, it's part of it is part of the condominium ownership as of today, yeah. And, that's part of the reason why we're here is that it's just, it's not being used by the condominium association. And so this is kind of a solution to that.
Thank you.
Okay, with that being said, I'll open it up to the public, and because we're on TV, I'll ask anybody, come up to the podium and identify yourself.
Yeah, it's gonna have to rearrange that cul-de-sac then.
The question can you, go ahead up there, ma'am, it's just that I wanna make sure that they can, TV, oh, John, that's fine, you picked it up.
Yeah, Ina Piarsky-Kimmelberg, the owner of apartment 3C. And I just want to ask, because we're talking about infringements, cuts, where it is going to cut into condominium property? Is it in the back? Are we moving this fence, or are we moving it up, moving it down, this fence? Because the greens, we can't even see from our window, this up the fence. We see the green in that lot that is gonna be built, but are we moving anything here, or you cutting only from McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts side? Are we moving that fence?
So the answer to the question, and we're sort of jumping ahead, is we would be, and if everything goes the way that plan shows it, it's being moved slightly a few feet
What is being closer to the building?
closer.
What's being moved closer?
Well, if you look at the plan, it shows,
Oh, please,
well, the board wants to sort of do one thing at a time.
please, we got one at a time, you can come up here. John, what you're saying is the fence right now is moving closer?
Well,
I believe, in my little opinion, your fence is gonna be at the buffer, so it's going out, not in. Right?
okay, I'm just looking at the plan.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, we'll adjust that. I heard what you said, and I agree 100% with what you said. It's just something that we missed on the plan, so.
so the
I'm
people
just-
understand, your fence right now is 21.5 feet from the back of the building. So now it's gonna have to move almost another 5 feet away from the building. So you're gonna increase your backyard by about 5 feet.
Oh, wait, away from the building?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was just answering the question by what we have on the plan right now, but the chairman pointed out to me that we're not really showing it correctly, so we're gonna make that change so that it will meet the buffer requirement. We have to make that change, we can't ignore it, if in fact this gets approved and goes forward.
Anyone else have any questions, comments?
I do.
Sure. Come on up.
Lynn Vendetti, I own 18 Marion Street, that abuts right here. And I've had discussions with John, his real estate agent, and various other people. What has happened to this property is they have let a plant, the bamboo plants, I don't know whether you're aware of these plants, they're very invasive. And they grounded and they have built into this ground. And the only way to get rid of them is to dig them up. So I had a conversation. Mr. Marini came out and said he would fix this because now we're getting into our lawns next door. I can't control what he does, but once it invades my personal freedoms, then it needs to go. He sent somebody out with just some spray chemicals, cut it back a little bit, and now it's growing better than ever. It's like a forest. And now that will take some serious excavating to get rid of it. So I'm at the point where I don't trust what Mr. Marini says on anything. So I'm here, I honestly could not care if that plot ever gets cleaned up because my mother and I, who is 88 years old, have sweated our way through trying to stop that from coming, and he doesn't seem to care. It's also in this man's property right here, who just reseeded his whole lawn. He can't be here tonight because his special needs daughter came home. But now it's coming in here, around the fences, and it spreads like wildfire.
Which lot are you pointing at?
This lot right here, owned by Johannes, that's the private
Okay.
fence, the fence right here. There's a automotive shop here, and then here's my house here. And this property is, by the way, is really overstated how large it is. And he has planted 2 spruces to replace the trees that he mowed down when he was told not to, and they are now killing those trees. They're almost dead because those plants will choke out anything he can get his hands on. So therefore, this is kind of overstated how large it is and how much buildable property I do believe it is. But there's also he claimed our wall is his last time he was over. That is not his, and I'm gonna bring out a surveyor and we're gonna duke this out. But that is not his, and I'm just stating, I don't trust anything Mr. Marini says on anything because he has escalated the problem next to my property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, anyone else? Ma'am?
I brought my phone because I was putting notes on it. I'm Cassie Braithwaite. I live at 1429B. So my condo is this one. This patio is mine. So all of my windows are right here, here, and here. And so everything faces that condo. So I'm on the 2nd floor, and this is like an incline up to here. So anything that will be built will be in direct eye line of my entire living space. And as she said before, this is very, like, not really to scale of what you can see. So from my deck, I just went over to her home the other day, but from my deck, I can see into here and see when their windows are open, like the big deck thing is open, I can see into there. So it's close enough where I could tell that they had like this rec room in there. So that's why anything that happens over here will literally be in my window, which you would see in the city, not really in a town. So that's one of the things that really concerns me, plus also the construction that's gonna happen right there means I've seen construction, my family worked in construction the last a year, if I'm lucky, if like everything goes on time. That means all that whole time I won't be able to open my windows through that whole time, or really even use the backyard. I have a 6-year-old, and after a year and a half of being closed up inside, doesn't sound cool. And so when I purchased this condo, I'm sorry, that was one of the things I asked, is that lot buildable? And I was assured it was not. I never received a deed until February of this year. I purchased it in September of last year. It was not in any of my paperwork when I bought it. I had to request it multiple times from the property manager, which is through Marini, so it wasn't until February. I'm the treasurer of the HOA, and I still didn't even have that. I didn't even have their contact information when I moved in to know where to send my money to. I have the question of, why was that written into the deed? Like, what's the reasoning and the benefit of it? Because to me, it seems kind of shady why someone would put that in there and not make it obvious and not discovered with no benefit other than to hide something to benefit you. And also, beauty is subjective. They say it's a very ugly lot. But like I said, that is the view. That was one of the things that sold me on that. I see deer back there that I get to point out to my 6-year-old all the time. He sent something to the condo, to us owners, asking us to sign a petition for us to support this without ever seeing any of these plans or anything, and it was just sent this week. So with 0 notice, and I didn't receive any of these things, so because I must have been late on me getting updated to receive this information after I moved in and COVID and everything. So until my neighbors brought it up when we had, met to speak of some concerns. And so it's just like, I'm not comfortable with any of this. Oh, yes. So he sent this and said it would bring up the property value for us. For my condo, it would bring it down because it's a really great view, and that's, like I said, the only windows. So to look into someone else's window or into another wall will bring my condo property down, so I'm not in benefit of that. And he's looking to build a 2,800 square foot lot, which is really, really large. And the people that were signing this are, yes, the business owners, the commercial space owner who owns the 3 down there, he signed it, but he does not live in Walpole. Also, the realtor that sold the condos originally signed it, who also does not live in Walpole. Seems obvious why she signed it. She may benefit if there's something else to sell. And very little other people on here. There's more people that showed up here that are against it than signed his petition. Even the trustees that he manages are not in support of this. So that's what I would say.
Anyone else? Okay, I have a comment, I'll retract what I said before, John, about the 26 foot. 26 feet starts at the fence and goes. You can't use behind the condo as part of the buffer. Buffer is a buffer, unused space. So you're gonna be 21 and a half feet plus 26.
The buffer starts at.
The buffer is a buffer. We know what the buffer is, undisturbed, 26 feet. You can't say, a buffer doesn't start at someone's back porch or back of the house. It starts, so it's supposed to be unused. And if John wants to come in and talk about it, him and I will battle out like we did on Plimpton Street, where he said, and I heard Mr. American was not here, well, how are we gonna put in, what do you call it, bulkheads? Well, geez, I built buildings in downtown Boston, I could show you how to put them in.
Yeah.
So it's 26 feet. John Glosser, you agree?
I think
It's 26 feet, I would
Of a
think-
buffer. Buffer.
26, there's a 26-foot buffer requirement.
Okay, and it will go from the fence.
I would have to read it out.
No, a buffer is undisturbed, you agree?
It's.
Undisturbed.
Okay,
You
let's
can't
say
walk
it's-
out of your back porch, your slide, and say the buffer starts there, because you're using it. Buffer has to be beyond.
Yeah, no, I agree with
Well, it
you.
has to be
It's
treated also.
it's 26 feet of undisturbed, land.
So you have the fence there, and they're using that backyard, so it's gonna go from that fence, so that's gonna put you another 26. So the total.
So it has to go past the fence because the business
Another
uses that
correct.
fence.
That's your fence right now, I understand, must be in your master deed. So you're going 26 feet further up. We're getting closer to Marion Street.
I mean, I propose nothing.
Okay? All right, if there's no other questions, we will continue this, because we get the next one, so. You want me to just hold it until you do the other subdivision, continue them together to figure out when, or you wanna put a date right now?
I think that probably makes the most sense, and
Wait
I'm
for
sure
s-
that that's what you prefer, whatever you prefer is fine. I think it
Wait,
probably makes sense.
and we'll keep them, so we can keep them both together.
Okay, we will hold this still, discussion just for later, once you see the subdivision, whether you gotta go out, well, it's not gonna be 2 weeks, or whatever. So you gotta, everybody will have a better understanding, because they gotta put this all together. So we'll just hold this in abeyance, and now we will open up the subdivision.
Thank you.
Okay. Notice hereby given Thursday, May 20th at 7:30 PM, application for 1429 Main Street, LLC, 345 Naponton Street, Canton, having submitted a definitive plan with waivers for subdivision located off the back portion of 1429 Main Street off of Marion Street. The owner applicant has Assessors Map 40, Lot 149, Residence B,
Same date.
and said plan is entitled Definitive Marion Street Extension, Single Family Residential Subdivision.
I think I can get most of it.
And currently the property, subject to the Common and Main Street condominium pursuant to the master deed in book 35002, page 443, paragraph 25, which allows the withdrawal of a portion of the condominium property clause, which you'll get to that. And rather than reading the rest of it, because it's in the notice, so with that being said, I will open up the subdivision hearing. And with that being said, we'll go through the same thing.
For the record, Attorney Christopher Alphen, Blattman, Bobrowski, and Haverty, we're here with the application for definitive subdivision.
Before I go, Kate reminded me of something. We don't have any green cards.
Okay. Yes. That might have been a slip.
Okay, you don't have them?
Yeah, no.
Okay. So we can't go forward until we get them?
Yep.
Okay. So now we'll just wrap it back up to where we were.
Yep.
Is, as far as, we've opened this hearing, the other one's still open. What the date?
Yep.
1st in September?
That would be perfect, yep.
Okay, are we all set for extensions? For which one?
Second September.
Okay. Can we have okay, the first one, an extension for the subdivision up until the end of September 30th?
Yep, that works.
And you'll give us a letter to that effect?
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion to allow the applicant up through September 30th, 2021. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstained. Okay, next one is I'll ask the applicant for an extension for the site, plan up through September 30th. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Phil. All in favor? Aye.
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 And the third one is an extension for the special permit up through September 30th, 2021.
Second.
You have a second from Kate? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so you won't get any more notice. It will be, oh, because I'm gonna tell you right now.
I don't believe notice went out at all on the subdivision.
It did.
So
So
if
what-
that didn't go out, then that, they will receive notice on the subdivision.
Oh, so
Something has
you-
to be done with
You
it.
didn't advertise it?
No, it was advertised, but it was not noticed, certified mail,
Oh,
to this,
th-
by the applicant to the abutters.
so you sent, so you're gonna have to re-notice.
Yeah,
Or you're gonna have to notice. which you
Yeah,
haven't
I
done.
thought it was, in this instance, the municipality's responsibility, but it's our responsibility, so I will do
Yep.
it. Yep.
Okay, so. Is
How
it,
do you want to do that?
Oh.
I would say you just have to re-notice them and probably,
But when you renotice them, you're going to be telling them the hearing is May 20th, or whatever it was, and we continued it
No, you
to
can't.
tonight.
You
no.
have to notice it for the day that it's gonna start. It
Correct.
really hasn't started.
So it
Okay.
has to be, I think, re-advertised.
Yeah, I do too.
It's
So,
gotta be in the papers.
yep, so my suggestion is, why don't you ask for withdrawal of this?
Starting.
And then just start over in the advertisement?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're making modifications, I think that's probably.
Only the subdivision.
Yeah. It's only stuff, yeah.
But it's, I mean, waiver of a fee, I would hope. in this instance.
Again with the
You
list.
said here, everybody looks for money. When you go to the registry, they give you any money back?
Well,
We'll
they
talk
gave-
about that, but we gotta have, you're gonna withdraw it so you can start anew. Withdraw without
I'm
prejudice?
just trying to think on my feet here. I mean, if we're continuing it
Yeah,
and
well-
then everybody's getting a notice, I don't think.
Yeah, but
that-
you're not, since you haven't noticed, it really never happened.
Yeah.
That's I'm not the lawyer, but someone could challenge that.
Okay, yeah, we'll withdraw and resubmit.
Okay, so you're gonna ask for withdrawal without prejudice?
Sure.
Okay, I'll allow the applicant to withdraw the subdivision without prejudice. We have a second, all in favor? Aye, opposed, abstained. Now,
Bill?
it's, so we don't even need, what?
I think
John
John
did.
did.
So we don't need that extension through the 30th. You're gonna be able to pull it all together for the second, for the notices and that
No.
stuff?
Well, John,
I
Oh,
think
you also gotta correct the buffer too, so you got a little bit of work.
September
Yeah, we got
16th.
some,
somebody might do it. It's up to you.
I gotta give you a continuance for the site plan and special permit.
you're looking in September, right? What-
Yeah, well, I don't think you're gonna get it
Yeah, yeah, no,
second.
I understand.
So,
Obviously,
second meeting in September?
Yeah, that's all.
16.
Okay, we still make it, okay.
On all
That'd be
three?
9/16.
No,
Yeah.
the subdivision has to be, when we get the cards, if he gets them in time, we can do it that day. But it's up to them to get them. You follow?
No.
You set the date.
Right, are you giving them September 2nd for the
No,
site plan?
No,
and-
I'm giving them the second
The
meeting.
second meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, so the
Yeah,
16th of
confused.
September for all three hearings?
No,
No.
we can't give them
Only
all
the
three,
two.
only the site plan and the special permit. It's up to them to get their act together, to get the cards out and the notice in the paper and so on and so forth. If they do it, and all within a time frame, as required by
So it's
Mass General Law,
possible
blah,
the
blah, blah.
subdivision won't go till October?
If they don't get it in that time, yeah.
Because it was withdrawn, Kate,
Right,
so
okay,
we're,
so there's nothing there.
there's nothing there.
So-
We're
so if you
starting
could just-
over,
Right.
but what we're asking is if we get all the stuff in time, it would just
Yeah.
make sense to put them all together.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, okay, as long as you can let me know when you need that by in order to get on the 30th, I guess.
Okay, so we're gonna continue, here's what we'll do. We're gonna continue this, both site plan and special permit on September 16th, Kate?
Yep, at 7:15 and
At
7:16.
7:15 and 7:16. Now, this is the only notice, what could very well happen is they don't get it all together to get the notices to you for the subdivision. Chances are that night, we'll just open it up to continue it when that first hearing is gonna be scheduled for the subdivision. We wanna do them all together.
So the subdivision has gone away.
Yes, subdivision, poof.
Jack, I just want to let you know that I will not be at September 16th.
Okay, all
I
right.
have an unavoidable conflict.
Do they understand?
People, I'm gonna ask. Does, all the residents, you guys all understand what just went down? Okay. He does. Okay,
Be
all right.
careful. Be careful.
All right, so we'll see everybody here on September 16th at 7:15 and 7:16, and maybe the subdivision that doesn't exist.
Because you didn't help us before, so, no, 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 Mom, don't get into it with him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, you're not the owner?
I'm nervous every time
I know.
someone's next to it.
I have the wrong first name.
Okay.
So Sarah was just worried about the ledge there. I have a question. Why can't things be displayed anymore?
John.
Before they redid the room, can we send a
what
letter to
is-
Jim Johnson or something?
Directly behind the
So
condo right
the
now.
people in
like
the
just
audience
grass
used to be able to
or-
watch it on the back
Yeah,
TV
exactly.
and have it on the wall.
He can answer that
Or
for
it's
you.
like a driveway or?
It's grass, it's a little long, little backyard.
Okay, so it's natural, it's not surfaced area, it's not paved or anything.
So, once everybody's back from meeting full in person.
Yes.
We can put that back together. It shouldn't be.
Can't we just buy another $10 cable?
So
or-
haven't they been talking about keeping the option open of being able to go back and forth?
Yes, we have that down at the other end of the hall, not this room yet.
But what I'm saying is, will that indefinitely limit that being restored?
No.
Okay.
That should be back fairly soon. probably
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's really important.
What about so this isn't him, I don't believe. What about
Whoa, whoa.
The projector.
used to have the
No,
projector on the
You can go right
wall?
on that white, you don't need That white screen will do
But
it.
didn't we used to provide the
No, they had a
projector?
cable. No,
Yeah.
they got their own, on their own.
Okay,
They
all
do
right.
their own
They
thing.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
We used to bring,
yeah.
we used to bring laptops in and plug
Yes.
into the.
Yeah, and you got, it's painted white, so that'll take the, yeah.
All right, thanks.
Good night.
See you, John. I see you're not retired. I guess, maybe. No?
More you need.
How many?
Still in my 40s.
Yeah, I know.
None got it.
Jared, just so that you know, I did send an email to Chris Alpin with the 3, with the ads, and he acknowledged receipt, so, sorry.
Okay, let's do Sabati's Way first, the the bond. Maybe the last one we got. Little business.
And this is the bond.
Good job. They're different flavors than usual.
All right. How do you pronounce that?
Savoides.
Savoides Way, that's Old Post Road up there by Big Y, first left after light on Old Post Road off of 27. And please be advised, this is from Gladstone, that the developer of residential known as Tall Pines. And at this time, the permitted subdivision through your board, posting the cash bond, which has been continuously held by Bridgewater Savings, now Bluestone. And in conversation with the town engineer, he wants a final settlement, he just wants out, and he's gonna give us the money. Well, a couple issues with that. One is Kyle's gotta figure out exactly what's owed. And the second thing is it's not in a cash. 'Cause we never got a cash bond. This is in a tripartite, where it's through the bank. So that's the problem with that. And Kyle is, this goes back to 2014, when they released the bond, but set the bond Tall Pines at 146,000, but that's 7 years ago. So what's gonna have to happen is Kyle's gonna have to prepare a list for us and to make sure that, we can take it over and we're not getting on the short end of the stick. And also, he's gonna have to talk to Gladstone and the bank to see, hey, guys, what's going on here? Because it's not in their bank. If it was, it should have been in ours. So, but we do have a tripartite, I believe, Kate, you got it somewhere.
There is a tripartite.
Yeah, and I don't know why
sent you the-
this bank is doing this unless this is how they did the tripartite with them, but anyway, that's the status, so this will be for Kyle to chase down, and with the 88 grand, he was pretty confident last time that he could easily finish it, so.
What
that'd
do
be
you want to do
ins-
with them? Just,
So we'll ask Kyle to go through it, Kate, and
yeah,
give us what the figure is, and also talk to the new Bluestone Bank, okay? All right, that's done. Okay, next item is, we have the town meeting article, so, and that's Kate's.
So, based on last meeting, I made some minor revisions to the article. Everyone should have received it.
can you make a copy? Can we go make copies of this? I should've.
Oh, you have one?
I have mine.
Did you send it out?
I sent it to Jack, Jack sent it to Kate.
Went today,
When today?
probably 1:32.
Yeah, I was offline by then, yeah.
It was more of, based on the comments and a little research that I did about what was and wasn't allowed. I just modified it slightly.
Do you wanna read it?
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
John, can I steal it for 1 minute? To see if the town will amend its zoning bylaw, section 2, administration, subsection 2, special permits, by adding new section C titled Affordable Housing Provision, stating, all multifamily dwelling unit projects will require a special permit if the following criteria is met. This requirement, when filed, applies to all multifamily dwellings for 10 or more dwelling units on a lot or combined lots. This requirement only applies if the town is not presently consistent or the proposed development would give cause for the town to not be consistent with the local needs as defined in MGLC 408, but in no case more than,
40B.
40B.
sorry, I need new glasses.
It does
MGLC
say 8
40B.
there, I think.
But in no case more than 10% of the proposed multifamily dwelling units be required to fall under the MGLC 40B requirements. This provision applies to all zoning districts townwide except PSRC. Yearly reporting and enforcement is by the building commissioner. This provision does not apply to subdivisions as it is exempt under Massachusetts subdivision control law requiring special permits. Local preference of 70% to include current residents, employees of the town, employees of businesses based in the town, households with children currently enrolled in the school system.
It does say 8.
Yeah, I typed it wrong.
Let me see your copy.
This should
doesn't-
probably say they rather than it. They meaning subdivisions.
You don't have a copy either.
No, no.
Sorry.
What is saying they?
That's got typos in it,
Oh.
right there.
Okay, they, yeah, whatever the proper
Yep.
wording is. All right, so, John, you have any questions, comments regarding this?
Multifamily dwelling unit.
This is the old one. Said that last time. Sorry. It's okay.
Why did we change it from to all zoning districts where multifamily is allowed to all zoning districts except PSRC? Why did we? was
Because
that
of the
changed?
definitions, so there were several definitions that Sarah had wanted incorporated. I was trying to keep it simple, so what I did was simplify the wording. And then the other major change that I made was in the last section. So I had that 5-year
Yeah.
residency requirement. When I researched it, I found I could not find anything that said I could do that.
Yeah.
So as a result, I took that out and I took the wording from the state reference and I put that in.
There's a couple things pointed out last time. One is you don't need a special permit downtown. So that was pointed out.
That was
So that's why it's been put to all zoning.
Central business, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and the other thing is you wanted to say, someone's gonna question, well, you're gonna put it in park, school, and recreation? No, you can't. So, but you just wanna have that there,
Yeah.
so someone doesn't think that.
We need to include the section 20, we reference the
No,
40B, that's,
No, you just leave it in accordance with 40B. It's a whole big litany, so if you
Yeah.
start getting, that would have definitions, that was incorrect, so you just leave it at 40B.
yeah, okay. No, I guess I have no comments on
Okay.
it at this point.
Phil?
Yeah, so, and first, I do appreciate, Katie trying to put something together. I first a question on the joint committee, because my preference is to see us look at the joint committee to do something in this area, because it's really trying to do inclusionary zoning. So John or Sarah, if you want to, where does the joint committee stand on coming up with a new inclusionary zoning
It is
bylaw?
a work in process, but I think we're making progress on it, yeah.
And I think,
Maybe-
I was gonna, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, no.
I was gonna mention in my comments that, we did talk about the first draft, in a meeting. And I would characterize it as, there wasn't a whole lot of appetite, to adopt this one. People had wanted to, kind of continue with where we were going, with the IZB. And there was also, some concerns expressed if the planning board were to, bring this or something close to it forward, and then, our joint committee also wants to bring something forward that wouldn't be a desirable, outcome, having two separate zoning issues, purporting to do,
This is something
similar
similar,
work.
yeah.
So, John, I
And
don't
I-
know if you want to add anything to that.
No, that was a point that was raised by several members of the committee. And I think it's probably more of a timing issue. This, in simplicity, can be made ready to go, but I think what we're doing in the inclusionary zoning committee will probably be a more encompassing answer to it. So if we can get everything ready to present to the town and to the planning board, it might make sense if this one is withdrawn, depending on how the planning board sees it. But I think it's good to have this in place as something to be ready to present, and then if we have everything ready and we can present it before town meeting, we can then decide, well, this is better, and ask if Katie is willing to withdraw it if she sees what we have done and concurs that it's going to succeed, fill what she's trying to do as well.
So my opinion is I think we should wait for the joint task force. I think it's much better to have it come out of there. I think it will be confusing to have two efforts, and I'm very hopeful that that committee can come up with something. I can appreciate trying to come up with something as a stopgap, but I'm not sure if this is really gonna do what it might be hoped to do. So one thing, and I think this came up with a lot of the comments about the inclusionary zoning when we had the hearings, is that we weren't really hearing from developers or from business, what they need. And one of the complexities, or one of the other aspects of the inclusionary zoning is to offer some back and forth, some incentives to have, so that developers are gonna feel that they're gonna get something out of it too, because clearly if you're doing some number of apartments or houses at below cost, then they need to make up that somewhere, and you wanna have some incentives. And I think that was one of the things, being on, and again, I'm a member of the Housing Partnership, we spent a long time trying to figure out where those thresholds were, because you wanna maximize the amount of affordable housing, but you wanna have it so that developers wanna build, and that's where a lot of effort went into. So I would be, and it wasn't clear to me, so is it looks like it's saying that it requires a special permit as a way to require all new developments, that fall into the, under the text here, would have to do 10%, is that, in it? No, so.
What the whole purpose of this is everybody wanted the 40Bs and nobody wanted them, but you have to maintain 10%. So once the town hits 10%, the guy comes in and wants to do 100 units, he's gonna have to give you 10%. If the town's over it, he may only have to give you 5%. If we're way under it, he may not have to do anything. This is designed to keep us at that 10% threshold.
Can I-
And
can
then my
I-
other comment, I think I said the last time, was that first of all, I don't think you can have too much affordable housing. I think that's just a moral issue first. And then second, from a more pragmatic viewpoint, if there are new developments coming in and you don't keep, having some portion of those affordable, then you're gonna lose your 10%, because you're increasing your
But
denominator.
that's what this is doing.
But you can't do it after the fact. You
No,
have
it's not
to-
doing, it's not doing after the fact.
Well, both what we're doing and what this is doing are after the fact type things. Nothing's going back and saying, okay, we need to recreate
Downtown.
40, 50 more units and turn them into affordable housing. Just take them and change it. That's not gonna happen. The only way to do it is a slow accumulation of these units, or
But the problem.
something where you can take a project and say, this is all affordable, or something
Well,
like
based
that.
upon South Walpole, will be at the threshold, so once that kicks in, which is probably gonna kick in anyway, this is just gonna keep you at the level you wanna
And
be
then the
at.
census comes and knocks us back down.
Has the joint committee, so we have a deadline, obviously, for a warrant article. Has the joint committee reached out to the community and the builders for input, like they said they were going to? Well,
We
the
did have a
housing-
developer at our last meeting, and I think a couple developers were, approached, and that's definitely something that we're interested in doing.
We got a few comments from Mr. Walsh, and while I didn't agree with all of his comments, I think we got some input anyways, that they do have issues as to what are we getting out of it, kinda, and the idea of allowing them to get a reduction in some of the lot sizes prorated over the development.
But you can't do that for subdivisions.
Right, and at the moment, we're looking at excluding subdivisions from what
You
we're
have to,
doing,
because you
yeah.
cannot
From what you're doing
condition.
too.
Yeah,
You cannot have a special permit for a subdivision.
well, yeah, and unless we can find some way of avoiding the special permit aspect of it, which would be nice, but we haven't determined
But
if
you're
it's
not gonna be able to
doable.
do that, John, through your subdivision control, because if somebody wants to come in, you're gonna have to, you can't change your subdivision control and your zoning, because now it becomes like a special permit.
Mm.
So, you can't do it because that was stated last time, Phil Mackey, and that was Wall Street versus Town of Westwood. The judge agreed with Westwood on one thing, but that they could not condition a subdivision. Subdivision control cannot be conditioned by a special permit.
So I guess when I think of seeking input from the community and builders, I think of seeking a broad input, whether it be, advertising to these target groups, the meetings, but really getting people in, and I don't think, unfortunately, we saw at the last, public hearing, that's when they showed up.
Yeah,
And the question is, first of all, it's summertime. Second of all, are they aware of these meetings? Have they been targeted to come out and be involved and give input? Because I was under the impression that's what was gonna happen. So I don't know if that's, going to end up being the same situation we had before.
I know supposedly some people have been trying to reach out to developers and get their input. We only heard from the one developer Tuesday when we had our meeting, so I'm not sure how successful or, I think we are looking to try to find some give and take or whatever, so that we're not just saying, well, you have to do this, you can get something out of it. Using the reduction of lot size for the number of required units will make they'll be able to do some things in an area that they might not be able to do if they needed full lot sizes for all of their things, but it's still going to, the big comment I got was, we're gonna lose too much money if we have to build an affordable house. And we've also looked at some of the other conditions that were in the original one, and getting rid of the trust fund and the payment in lieu of portions of it. Because the idea that we want to create affordable housing now, not just have money, which isn't, the town isn't a developer, the town is not gonna go out and build a house for us, yeah. So, I'm still thinking it's not bad to have this in place as a fallback, if nothing else, yeah.
Okay. So I guess just a summary, I really would like to see us not do this and wait till the joint committee finishes their work, because I just don't think it's, I don't think it's gonna do what we needed to do, and I think that it's gonna make some confusion in having the two efforts.
Well, it can be explained when it comes time to open it for the public debate as a zoning article. They can then make their comments known. We can be explaining that there's also, well, hopefully we'll have the inclusionary zoning one presentable at the same time, really. So we can potentially give the town two options, depending on which way they think is the best to go. I think the inclusionary zoning one is going to be more comprehensive, but this one, we can do it quicker, and it can be in place in case we're coming up with issues we can't settle what we want to do, or we come up with we find ourselves unable to put our proposal together in finished form in time.
So I think that we may not find developers are looking to do affordable
True.
housing.
But-
And second, you can't wait till you're at 10% and stop, because the next project will put you over, and then you might not get another project for a while, and then you're under that. So
Right,
it's-
which
the
is
next
what
project
Katie
would have to-
is,
if they,
Katie's wording covers that.
Yeah.
But if the next project doesn't come up, you have a project that puts you under the 10%, and then you don't get another project.
no, it won't. If you need, it will never put you under. So if you have 100 houses, apartments they're proposing, and we need 9, they're gonna have to give you 9. They're gonna have to give you 10 maximum.
And are we sure even, first, like I said, without incentives, do we even know developers are interested in doing that?
Well,
So,
all comes, well, then you stay at your, then guess what, Phil? Everybody, we stay at that 10%.
but the purpose, I think we need to remember the purpose is to get affordable housing, not to stop 40Bs.
The
Well-
no, the
So I think-
purpose
not
of the
to stop
state was to put.
development altogether.
Yeah.
No, the purpose of the state was to put us to 10%. I'm trying to get us to the 10%, that's all.
The issue with the affordable housing is really, in my opinion, it goes back to developers. The developers aren't willing to build affordable houses. They're building McMansions everywhere,
Well,
at least in Walpole.
Well, that's a problem with property values and a lot of other things, inequities in.
And that's something
But one
we
way
can't
to-
deal with as the planning board, really.
But-
We can only deal with trying to put up guidelines so that when the developers come in, they have some requirements that will point them in the right direction, kind of, or,
If we had something like this in place just for the projects that have gone on in the 4 years I've been here, South Walpole wouldn't be in the situation they're in, I don't feel.
probably correct.
And it's so frustrating to sit here and say, would you consider? Nope, we're not gonna consider it. Okay, we have to sit and say, okay, that's okay, go
We're
ahead.
busy playing catch-up.
It's just not okay.
Yeah. And I think most people recognize it. It's a question of finding a method that will start correcting it, yeah.
So the reason for incentives, though, is to allow builders to build a little more dense so that they can offer less expensive.
Right.
housing.
And if we're looking at,
Density
and
is-
we're looking at that
No, that does
in our
not,
committee,
there's open
yeah.
space, you go up Ross Commons, those are not affordable. Anything with dense down has never, you go up to Endine, those are not
No.
affordable. Those are done on 10,000 square foot lots on open space, and
those are
it doesn't make them
single-family homes,
affordable.
though.
What?
on those single-family homes you're referring to?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it doesn't make it affordable.
But that's why you need to do inclusionary zoning, because you need to force them to do affordable housing.
This is
Yeah.
forcing them.
Yeah, but
The thing is, with the single-family homes, it's all gonna become a subdivision, which is gonna bypass the IZB, unfortunately.
But-
Until we can find a way to deal with the increasing subdivisions, which is most of what we see, really, except for those large developments which have come in and it's too late to adjust now, yeah.
No, we haven't had squat in the last 7 or 8 years. All the big ones are dead. Okay, what we've had is all the apartments. You now have that 40R, you have that other thing if you're within a half a mile. The state pushed through that you can go down to, I don't know, 10,000 square feet. That's all out there. But if we don't start somewhere, we're gonna get hit by those with no coverage.
Yeah, I just don't think this is the right answer, that, you know, I think we're all agreeing that we need to do something. I think that the way the inclusionary zoning was bylaw, task force is going is the right approach, and I just don't, I don't think it's very positive for us to be doing these multiple efforts, so that's, you know, as much as I appreciate the, you know, the intent of trying to solve the problem. Sarah?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a little bit difficult for us to even talk about this today. We just got this afternoon.
No, this has been on the making. This just cleaned up a few things, of which you pointed out most of them. One of them was the multifamilies, so it's just been cleaned up. This hasn't changed in context.
It's housekeeping.
Yeah, it's really the housekeeping, that's all.
Okay, so, you know, in my quick review, I would agree that it's very similar, and a lot of my concerns still exist with this one. So it says all multifamily dwelling unit projects will require the affordable housing. So do we have the word multifamily defined in our bylaw?
You said that, that's in the book. It's
Yeah.
multifamily dwelling unit. Everything in there is right from our zone, so we don't have to change any definitions or change anything else, so it's
Okay.
already
And
present.
the local preference I took right off the site.
Okay, and mixed use is considered multifamily?
But what this does, it says all zoning, except for park, school, and recreation.
You call it multifamily dwelling units?
Yes, correct.
So the question is, multifamily dwelling unit, does that include mixed use, multifamily?
Like downtown?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's in the zone, it's not what the building's gonna be. If you're gonna have a multi-dwelling units, like the one we just did tonight, the condos, that's covered under this.
Well,
It says
I
all
think-
zones.
I think DHCD has a difference between those words. What's multifamily and what's mixed use?
Well, multifamily is a multifamily, whatever they put, mixed use is just the use of it, but when you have a multifamily on there, that is, it says all, it's in all districts, so.
Okay, according to our definition, dwelling multifamily, a building containing 4 or more dwelling units, which would include a mixed use.
It is in there, okay.
That's, I still question that. And, you know, I still see the same thing, that this kind of lacks the flexibility that's needed. You know, a couple of other members have talked about that. Again, the goal, at least for me, is to create affordable units and also to keep creating housing. Like, we don't want this, you know, article to stop development or to slow development or to halt development because they're trying to, you know, not comply with this and they don't have enough incentives to comply. You know, again, I'm on that joint committee, and I think we're doing a lot of great work. There's, you know, great people on the board, great ideas, and we're nearly there. We're reaching out to developers. We'll reach out to the broader community, and I really think, you know, that's the way to go. I do have concerns that we would write any kind of IZB that would stop at any point, because I agree with Phil that I don't think that we should stop if at some point we got to, you know, I don't know what, 12% magically, which I don't think will ever happen. We could, you know, submit a town meeting article to amend that, but I really don't think there's a danger in that. And also, I wonder, how is this actually, you know, determined at the time of the application? Is it the SHI? And it says, you know, or if, where is it? The proposed development would cause for the town to not be consistent. So that's a lot of moving parts.
No, it's not. It's very simple.
It is, because there's multiple projects going on at
You
multiple
file.
times.
If you file
Right, it's,
before this
everything
guy,
is as of the date of
It's
file.
determined.
That's the determination.
determination, you had to put that
Okay,
in.
and we have let's say we have a 200-unit project before us,
Yep,
and then we have a 10-unit project before us.
yep,
So we don't know if those projects are gonna get to completion.
correct.
What if we say, oh, well, the 200-unit will get us there, so we don't need it, so we don't ask for the other way? It's just, I just think.
No, it's at the time of
10
filing,
unit,
very
one
simple.
unit.
It doesn't matter what comes after.
Whichever one is filed
file
first. If the 200 is filed first and it satisfies it, then the 10 wouldn't have
But
to
nobody
deal with
knows
it.
for
The
sure
10
if a
filed
project is
first, it
going
would
to,
have to deal
to
with it.
actually go to fruition until and if it's
But you have to,
permitted.
you have to do a starting point, that's all, and that's a starting point,
I think it's,
unfiled.
I think it's not good. And then, you know, there's some changes to the local preference, but again, I mean, the local preference is, you know, defined by DHCD, so I don't know why we would make any changes to that. Why are we excluding, you know, groups that are shown?
That was specifically worded and recommended by Mass Housing Partnership.
This exact language?
Yep, I copied it.
Okay. So you changed that. Employees of the town, municipal employees. Yeah, so, you know, again, I appreciate the effort, but I'm strongly in favor of, you know, letting the joint committee do its work, and doing the outreach to the community, to the developers, and then, you know, present those findings to the planning board for endorsement.
No, it's, the planning board has nothing to do with the findings and endorsements. It's gonna be their own article, but, anyway, I'm all set. I'll make a motion to put this on the fall town meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, 3-2, so, off and running.
Jack, would it be a good idea, not as regard to the content, but as in regard to the wording?
For
that
what?
Town council?
What you always do is, because they,
Afterwards.
yeah, I get too many
Okay.
times attacked. You send it to them for their legalese, so to speak. They typically won't comment whether they like the article, think it's wonderful, but they
No,
will
I'm not
comment. Yeah,
looking for
that's what they,
that.
we will send that ahead of time, so
Yes.
that you don't get caught, even if, in anything, that something there is incorrect, that will bounce the article, not, so we can do that, send it off.
John, you should have that email, and if you don't, let me know and I
Okay.
can send it to you.
Okay, next item, and I know Phil wanted it, and we'll jump on that, master plan.
Yeah, I do think we need to move ahead with, you know, taking our responsibility to initiate the master plan committee, start the process by which we appoint or we recommend how members are appointed. So, and I know we have the, you know, we have this consulting company that we can work with, you know, that work for us, right?
Yes.
And we had some discussion about the possible makeup of the committee. So, I would make a proposal tonight, and other people may have proposals as well. So I've been going back and forth on whether all the planning board members should be on the committee. I know there's reasons why that is not as workable because of the requirement for a quorum.
Did you read the steering committee? Did you read that one, where they had it before? It was a steering.
No,
committee.
yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't,
Yeah.
that was,
So-
the planning board just signs off on the master plan, but, okay.
Yeah, I mean, usually that's what it is. Usually the town appoints a steering committee, that's really what it is.
Okay.
And I did look at a number of other towns to see, how they did it, and in my survey, no one is doing all the members of the planning board anymore. And that ranged from 2 members of the planning board or 1, but never more than 2 because of the quorum. So I guess that's where I kind of set down on it, that I think we should, and I would go back to, I think, the memo that Ben Bear had distributed from, at the time, which maybe making some adjustments of having, anywhere between 11 and 15 members, 2 members of the planning board, and unfortunately, I don't know if I brought, I had written something out a little more formal than this. But that would be my recommendation.
Okay, what do you have?
So 2 members from the planning board, and I like the language where it was the different committees would either be on the board or would appoint someone. So I think that gave more flexibility for having other people on the board, so I like that language. So it was the planning board, 2 members of the planning board, the select board, sewer and water, conservation, FinCom, historical commission, school committee, and then some community appointees, and there were and I was going to try to find that other memo. I don't have it right in front of me, unfortunately.
So
But
Phil, maybe 2 members from the planning board and the other ones,
we're
1
all-
member?
We're all 1 member.
Okay.
From each of the others, yeah. So I think this list needs a little more adjustment, and I thought I had something with me here that I don't have, so,
Well, it seems similar to the listing on email from Benjamin Barrett to the planning board.
yeah, and that was what I was looking for, John, exactly, yeah. And that's where that language appears. If you have that in hand, maybe you could read through that list.
But this,
Yeah.
well, just reading the list, says it's a 13-person makeup, 2 planning board members, 1 select board member or designee, 1 sewer and water commission member or designee, 1 housing partnership member,
Yeah, that was
everything's all whatever, 1 school committee member, 1 finance committee member, 1 historical commission member, 1 cultural council member, 1 economic development commission appointee, parentheses, business owner preferred, 1 resident with background in community and race equity leadership, nominated by.
I'd say no, we're not getting into the
Walpole
religious
Interfaith
stuff, John.
Community.
Has to be a member of the community. That
1
doesn't-
council on aging board member and 1 Walpole Trails Committee member. So 1, 2, 3, 4,
It's a lot.
that's 13. Now, I'm looking at a memorandum, I guess, that Judy Barrett sent out to Pat DeShane. She talks about 3 different sizes, large committees, mid-sized committees, and very small committees. So at 13, we're kind of in between the mid-size and the large. And she says mid-sizes kind of manageable. The large ones has the advantage of appearing to be more representative, but it's more difficult to get everyone together at any one time to have your meetings, because you have such a large group. Looking at the list,
How many did she say? Did she, for
On
small,
mid-
medium, large, did she?
for
I don't have
large,
it
she
in front of me.
said, she's worked with as many as
15
15
to
to 17.
17.
Mid-size was 9 to 11. And very small was like 5 people.
So I think what we also have to keep in mind is that who we put on the committee are not the only people having input. So she's going to survey and talk to, she and her people will survey and talk to all sorts of groups. They're not going to limit it. So I think that, like, for example, the resident with community in race and equity leadership, well, she could talk to those people and definitely survey them. My problem is, I hate narrowing things down. Like, I printed the departments versus the committees. And so they had, Council on Aging, Select Board, Sewer and Water. Obviously, they're gonna talk to all these other people. They're going to talk to all these departments, and they're going to get information from them. So it would just be that these people were voting members, the people that we suggest. So then, when we get to the appointed groups, that's where I struggled. And I struggled because, I'll give this one as an example, and this is nothing against them because I think they do great work. So, for example, it was suggested we put someone from the Trails Committee on there. Well, what about the Town Forest Committee and the Adams Farm Committee? So, like, those are all, in my eyes, outdoor, important outdoor recreation committees. So that's why I have trouble looking at those three and saying, yeah, Trails is the one that's important. I think they're all important, and that's where I struggle, and that's where I have an internal battle with myself, because I think there are so many groups in town. So I think that it's very important, and I keep trying to remind myself of that who we pick, all these other groups have to have input. It's really important we get thorough input from all of the groups, because they're all important. Adams Farm, Town Forest, and Trails Committee, they're all important. One's not over the others. So that's where I want us to try and I think I'm telling you guys it because I was having trouble with it myself. I think we have to keep reminding ourselves that she is going to get input, and we need to encourage her to get thorough input from every single group, not just the ones who are on the advisory committee.
Right.
Yeah, there's two other things she said, I think were important. She also said it should not be just town officials, town committee members. That makes it look too much in her terms as an insider. And that's why I like the language, and again, the Ben Barrett memo that said, or appointee, because that gives the option for people to appoint somebody who isn't necessarily the town official, but who might represent that viewpoint or that experience. And then I think looking at, your question, Katie, which I think all of us struggle with as far as making sure that this is as representative as we can. I think if you look at things like, the Trails Committee and the Council, the Forest Committee, we can't maybe pick one from each one of them, but there's a common theme running there, that if at least we pick one of them, we can feel that you're getting, on the committee, you're getting that representation. And then, like you said, in addition to that, they're gonna, this committee is just the coordinating committee. It's the, it's doing the day-to-day, if you will, or not the day-to-day, but the running of the whole effort.
They're
But
gathering the information, they're not creating all the information.
That's right, but they're gonna be reaching out we wanna reach out to all the different constituencies in town. So that's the other part of it. So maybe 13 is a good number. It's a little bit more than the definition of a medium-sized group, but it's not as large as a large group.
There may be instances, like in the examples Katie gave, there may be some commonality between these committees. There may be one person who's on all three.
That's right.
Potentially. So that's the person you want to be able to get who can represent all three potentially.
Or people, they're gonna, people who are on one committee are gonna share a lot of the same values as on the other committees.
Yeah.
That's a.
Also, I wonder if we can add someone from business, like a chamber member, or,
Well,
so there's an EDC, and that's good, but that's all
they
the,
reference business owner preferred, yeah.
yeah, but that's one person out of,
True. But in well, I suppose it's important. In reality, there's so little business in town. It's such a residential community.
but
We
maybe
do
that voice
obviously
needs to
want
be
their
heard so
input.
that we can
need to
improve
have
that.
someone in present. Hopefully, that person can reach out to his fellow business owners or the, what's it called? Downtown council,
There isn't really a
whatever you're
group
in.
right
No,
now.
there isn't?
So there's marketing groups, but there's not really like a true business representation.
No.
It's, you know, times have changed, unfortunately, and, you know, it's a situation of it's more marketing than it is, like in the
Oh, so-
old
so
days.
advertising
when I was,
themselves
when I
more
was a
than anything
youngin', and I started out, we more focused on downtown, what was going on. Oh, they're gonna redo Main Street, we have to spend time worrying about how they're going to do it, what's the state going to propose, we need to look into that. We did, like, it was more, infrastructure downtown, what was going on, how was it going to impact everyone, what we needed to do to make sure it didn't interrupt business. People could still stay open, things, you know, and
What if we
things
build a
like
new
that.
fire
Now it's
department
more,
and take all the
I don't-
parking?
it's more, you know, marketing.
Just how
So-
they can mutually
Yeah,
benefit
help each other out that way. So, it's just, things have changed. But I do think there should be a business representation on there. I agree.
Is that because of turnover in businesses, do you think, or?
You know, in the old days, the center of town was much different. It was a situation of, like you said, there were more businesses down there, not just restaurants, and the restaurants are fantastic, and they bring a lot to the community, and that's really important, but, you know, gone are the days of Holt's and Swenson's, and, do you know what I mean? It's just a different makeup.
Even
It's-
the travel agencies aren't
Yeah.
there anymore.
It's
There
completely
is an
changed.
organization that represents the interests of downtown, it's Destination Downtown.
Yeah, but even that, Sarah, so I think it's great, so please don't take this in any way negatively, but it is more promoting marketing. Do you know what I mean? It's not,
No, we're working on zoning, we're working on business improvement districts, we're working on lots of different things, not just marketing.
All right, I'll kind of break the log jam. Why wouldn't we leave it up to, say, the EDC to pick somebody, either one of their guys or someone related on business, because they know people?
Yeah, I'm just saying that maybe that's not enough, just one person or designee from EDC.
But one person there can then contact
Yeah.
out to his fellow members, whatever, and be the point man kind of to bring all their,
and I also think
Input
that's back
into
to
it.
what we said about Trails Forest.
yeah.
It's a situation where she should be reaching out to all those groups, she should be
It is
reaching
a
out
large
to
group, but
downtown
maybe there's certain
destination, she should be reaching out
commonalities
to
that can
all,
be combined or something.
so that the input's there.
Did he have the rec department on that, John? Someone?
No.
That should be there,
That's
because that's
important.
way more than
Yeah.
trails and town forest. I mean, we just spent $82 million on our fields up at the prison.
Yeah, maybe if we had better recreation control, we wouldn't.
But
have
that's,
spent all
that's a
that
big
money.
component of the master plan, if you read it. And that was one of the big components back in the old days, more fields. So that's, the rec's a big item there.
And I just want to mention, I know the racial equity, I forget the exact name in the memo, John. There was that one person for
Yeah,
racial.
person was specializing.
And the reason, and I know.
Community and racial equity leadership,
Leadership. So,
local interfaith.
so, you know, one thing you want to do, I think, on a committee like this is have people who have very different opinions
Mhm.
and who are very diverse.
Yes.
Because you want to have people who are questioning things that maybe, the status quo people, we all see a lot, would never ask those questions. So you want to have people, really, you want to reach out. And so we're going to reach out to everybody, they're going to try to reach out to all the different communities, they're going to do that, and that's very important. But you want to make sure that the master plan committee itself is very diverse, that they're asking a lot of questions, and knowing that they're going to reach out to other people, but you don't want that little, that driving committee to be just, maybe the same insiders, if you will, and we're part of that as well. So, if you did rec, let me just go through a list here.
But doesn't that come back to just what we keep talking about, she's going to in-depth get the input from these people?
No, because
then
I
where do
think, I
draw
think it
the
makes a difference whether you ask somebody's input or you give them a seat at the table.
Yeah, because they're at the table, they can ask those hard questions and make sure that the discussion can go in ways that otherwise it would never go that way.
Right,
And we
and I
wanna
think
have
in
that
the end, we're
diversity.
gonna end up with a stronger plan because if we intentionally make it, diverse in terms of, mind and experience and thought and life experience, that we're going to end up with a stronger plan. So I would also, strongly be in favor of somebody like that.
So just as a straw suggestion, rec department, trails, forest,
Commerce, that's the term.
Adams Farm,
Yeah, I put them all in one, maybe something.
that's one. The housing partnership, the planning board 2, the select board, and again, it doesn't mean that they would necessarily be one of their members. That's why, again, I really like the idea of, or their designee, because I think that gives a lot more flexibility too. Sewer and water, conservation, school committee,
Mhm.
FinCon, although I could.
kind of question that myself, yeah.
FinCon I could do without, because maybe it's, but let's leave them there for now. Economic development, council on aging, another business person, I think that would be good. And then the racial justice person.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yeah.
I've said no, and I'm not too happy about it, because I asked when that came out, everybody, and nobody answered my email. I said, who is this in Walpole Internet Faith, and what was this about? And nobody wanted to answer. So I have a big problem with that, when no one wants to come forward. They wanna shove it on me, but they don't wanna answer my question.
Now, I assume that part of that was prompted, because I know, like, there's been a presentation to the select board, they're gonna be doing.
Who are they? They're not even listed anywhere.
I don't think it's a person
don't-
or group that's
yeah.
been
It
defined
says-
yet.
no,
It's,
no,
we
just
just
say-
want
no, 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 no.
somebody
Ben
that
Ballard
has.
said of the Walpole Faith, or whatever it is. He
So
said,
if you
he
read.
defined it as a
yeah,
group.
if you read further, it's just what you're saying, Phil, it's just worded differently. So what they're saying is that the Walpole Interfaith Community will
Which is
nominate
basically-
Yeah,
someone.
who are they?
It's basically all the heads of the churches, I believe.
No, there is no group, no, John. It's just the words out there.
No, actually, I think there is.
I think.
There is no group.
But it's an opportunity to reach out and find somebody.
But is
who
there a
would-
group, the Walpole Interfaith Community?
Well, it's just like when you say you're gonna pick somebody from business, you may not know who that is, but you.
Yeah, why can't
know.
we say, we want somebody with this, DEI experience?
No, I have a problem. Now you're bringing religion into this, and we have a difference between religion and,
I don't think
government.
it's religion.
That's what it said, from the interfaith.
Okay, so we can say something different.
Why wouldn't we say member at large? I mean, that's more,
Well, going
Accurate
back,
or
I'm
more.
looking through the charter now, and they have a breakout which is pretty similar to this, but they have it broken into 3 groups. Voting members appointed by town boards and commissions, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from the same list. And then 3 people, voting members as town of Walpole citizen representatives at large, appointed by town boards, Walpole Chamber of Commerce, / for 3-year terms. 1 being a Board of Selectmen appointee, 1 a Planning Board appointee, and 1 a Walpole Chamber of Commerce appointee. So that brings us up to 11 voting members. And then town staff as ex officio non-voting members, Economic Development, Recreation Director, Town Planner, school business administrator. So actually, that takes out, no, it still has school committee. So that's almost another school person, but it takes away some of the other items.
What about police and fire?
No, that's usually, that's,
By the way,
those
note
are
that,
worker bees.
note that this was for the implementation committee, not that, it's not a bad,
Right.
not that
Yeah,
it's so a good
it's-
template, but it's.
Oh, you're right.
it was
It's
a different-
different.
It was a
Okay.
different committee altogether, and that would be something for us to address later on. Now, the select board initiated this one, but they really were trying to make sure that you do the master plan, you got a great plan, and now nothing happens, and we need to make sure that that doesn't happen.
The selectmen want to make sure we did it?
Yeah.
No, they didn't, they wanted to take it over. I read the
Well,
notes, Phil, back in November of the housing partnership.
No, I'm talking
It was
about
up-
the, I'm talking about
I
the.
understand.
When it's
I'm talking
done.
about the
I
charter
understand,
that.
but it's like they, no, been through it before. If you read some of the stuff, I like the implementation committee, because it was a very stealth committee, so.
That's
to
what I'm
speak.
talking about, implementation committee. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's the next step.
The voting, yeah, that's what you want it, if you want to do two
That's
steps.
But that's another step after we get the master plan done. So, what I was gonna propose, so can I'll make a motion, just to kind of move things forward. Okay?
Can I
Go.
just say
Yeah.
just one
Yeah.
thing, sorry? So I just, I appreciate this discussion, and I just wanna check and make sure that I remember. I thought it was Jack and Katie that both, really wanted to make sure that there was more people on this master plan committee, and you wanted like the diversity of voice and everything, instead of, what the select board had said,
I never went by
8 or.
what they said, I went by what was done before. my
Okay,
past
and
experience.
then didn't you
Similar
pull it
things.
pull out the old plan and look at the names and?
Yeah, and that's what I've already done.
And talk
Yeah.
about, yeah, so I just, I
It's not
I
more
agree
people,
with
it's
you.
actually
I think
less.
it's,
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea, and we should have a diversity of, opinions and experience, so.
Well, I guess one of the big objectives is to get the community input. I kind of remember when they did the master plan back before I really got involved with anything. And I know they did have several meetings. I think we should, when we get to that point, we want to make sure we hold these meetings somewhere where the people have a place to sit perhaps, and the people can actually see one another. We were in the old Council of Aging room, and people were around corners from one another. You couldn't see everyone talking, and you couldn't see the presentations.
We did back in 2004
high school.
at the high school cafeteria.
And,
It was a
Oh, yeah.
Sunday, that was a Saturday morning.
yeah, something
was
like
the
that.
first big
Someplace where
one.
there's,
Yep.
they have, obviously have chairs and stuff like that there, we can sit on, and provision for a large group, yeah. And they have some reasonable amount of parking there, I guess, too.
Well, let me ask another question, just to go in a different, would it be worth us sitting down with the consultant, or, and Pat, Pat, to change and just
I think we should just set the committee.
getting more, I just offering that as a, otherwise I'll make it my motion. So I'll
Okay.
go ahead and do that.
Mhm.
So it would consist of 2 members from the planning board, 1 member from recreation, 1 member from either Trails, Forest, or Adams Farm, or, or some combination of that. 1 member in the interfaith, racial, some diverse.
Who's
some
gonna
of-
pick that? There is no group to pick it. All these groups have someone to pick it. Who is this?
Well, we
It
we
can be a
pick it.
select board appointee or
Why would
a
it be a
planning
select
board.
Why would a select board? It's not that, but, go on.
The housing, one member from the housing partnership, from the select board, sewer and water, conservation, school committee, possibly FinCon. If we needed to reduce it by 1, I would reduce that one. Economic development, council on aging, 1 person from the business community, and then at least 1 other person from the community at large. That might be, just maybe we find somebody, or whoever put it together. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8,
I think we
9,
should try and keep it to the
12,
middle.
13, 14, that
middle.
was 15.
Yeah.
I think we should try and keep it to her 9 to 11 guide. I think 9's really impossible. I think
So I would get.
11 I mean, I just think if we get too big, it's gonna be hard to get a quorum, it's gonna be hard to get everyone on the same. She cited reasons in her email, you know?
Do you have Council of Aging on your list, Phil?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did, yeah.
Okay, I didn't.
So
Yeah.
just check me, Phil, if I had that right. So the things that you left off from some possibilities that we discussed is Historical Commission,
Yeah.
Cultural Council,
I
and
don't think there is one, is there?
That's-
Cultural Council?
yeah, there absolutely is Cultural Council.
Do?
Yeah.
They allocate money for, on behalf of,
Yeah.
yeah, Library
Destination
Friends-
Downtown was
Library
an
Friends,
awardee of.
we get awarded that money from them, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if enough people, I wasn't intended not to say they're not important.
Yeah.
As much as, yeah, keep going though.
Yeah, I think so. Those are the
Me
ones
too.
that I have on my list that we talked about that you didn't mention.
And I would suggest removing the FinCom, possibly, because there's a lot of them are involved in some of these other groups in many ways. Again, just trying to
Yeah, there's,
streamline it. And by the way, FinCon is 15, and they do get their quorum. You know, they do make
Right,
it work.
yeah.
But,
Um,
so would you
Yeah.
suggest adding maybe the,
But why
History.
take off Historical Commission? I think that's
there was
kind
no
of
reason
important.
not taking it off, yeah. No, it was more just, I was trying to get to 13.
Especially we're
15
approaching our 300 year.
Yeah, no, I would support putting someone there. So
It
let's
would
do,
be good
let's
to
do
get their
history instead of
input.
FinCom then.
I think they're
Historical.
feeling very frustrated because they're being ignored by the
Who-
town. Historical Commission.
Historical, yeah.
They're being ignored by the town.
No, I would
They've
suggest.
had their budget taken away.
Did they? Oh.
They have
yeah.
no budget anymore.
Yeah.
Mm.
I would remove FinCom and put Historical Commission in place of that.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested, any FinCom member out there
Yeah,
that
I-
wants to submit a letter to us.
Yeah, and it's just a matter, unfortunately,
Yeah.
there's hard decisions is what you
Yeah.
get down to.
Yeah.
And again, I
So
for
no
all of
cultural
these-
council, but historical.
But historical, and maybe that's a cross thing. No, maybe not really.
Would it,
Mm.
okay, you've gone, I tracked this, Phil.
Okay.
I've lost you, so
Oh,
do
you-
it one more time.
One more time. Yeah. No. Yeah. So.
No adds or deducts, this is it, this is the
This
Phil's
is-
last shot.
This is in
Because if
order.
not, we'll have the entire town here.
This is in order.
Okay, go ahead.
That I wrote down is not necessarily in order of priority or anything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's no. Planning board is first with 2. Then the rec department or recreation.
Yeah,
The forest trail, Adams Farm.
yeah.
The interfaith racial person, the housing partnership, the select board, sewer and water, conservation, historical commission, school committee, economic development,
Conservation wasn't on this list either.
council on aging, business, and 1 community at large.
And who selects that? We do?
That's too big.
Yeah, or maybe we solicit people to write, to
Conservation is
submit
kind of-
nominations.
seems like
Mhm.
the
Because we might get
years
something really unexpected. We may never
Yeah.
have thought about it.
Yeah, so
Uh,
appointed by the planning board. Yeah.
That's 15.
15's too big.
Yeah, 15's
I think
let's
it's a
try and
good thing. If we can get it
15
down
is
to
good.
11, it's probably a good idea. But can we do it?
You're gonna leave out something,
I really
I don't think
don't
you're leaving
understand. I
anyone
thought you
out.
all were in favor of a very representative, large group and.
So what I repeatedly said is I think we need to make sure everyone's included, everyone's input is included, everyone's surveyed. I don't think this group, this is more like putting it together. They're not going to be,
The decision, they're gonna be the coordinators, not the
the
decision
information's
makers.
coming from everyone. They're not
Well, the
going to be, if they are, it's done wrong.
The
If they are
consulting-
the ones who, right, but they'll hash it all out and give priority and what's important and all of that, but every single, so this is why I look at it and go, 15's too much, because even with, you're still, even if you did 15, you're leaving people out. You have to narrow it down, I think. And I am absolutely positively saying you need a broad brush. You need to get information from everyone, and you need their input. We need to hear everyone. But what I'm saying is, I don't think everyone can be on the committee.
Okay, who you voting off the island? 'Cause I don't wanna be here a whole lot talking, we're just bouncing back like ping pong balls.
What
So,
about
Bill
sewer,
has his.
sewer and water and Concom?
So I completely,
Well,
I
I
am
think-
just going through, now I've written 12 lists, because as you say it, I'm
Okay.
like trying to, so I don't know if I'm missing anyone when I say
And the
this.
Trails Committee are kinda the same.
Yeah, maybe, that's why I was
So
thinking.
that,
to take it.
they're both looking at the natural environment. One
So what if we-
preserving it and one employing it. So in some ways, well,
Who you recommend to vote off the island?
All right, so we definitely, let's say who we need planning board.
yeah.
I think we should have 2 people from planning board.
I'm almost questioning, do we need a select board member?
Yeah, because this is.
Or
whole pro-
appointee,
Or
Huh?
appointee.
or appointee.
No, I think you should have us, because this
We
is a
should
master
have a-
plan. Everybody who's
we should have a
elected should
select
be
board member.
represented.
Okay.
I'm not gonna take a planning board designee, it could be my freaking dog for all we know, right? If they have enough interest in
Sewer and
this and
water
they
is
showed it, I
important.
would expect Mr. Barrett be volunteering for it, because he's the one that pushed
School
this.
committee is important, because schools are such a big part of the town.
So, planning board 2, selectmen 1.
Sewer and water, school committee.
Sewer and water, what are they gonna do for us?
Well, they
That's
have to
important. That's
plan where
huge.
the pipes are going and everything. They're gonna be, can they do this? Can we plan for
Will the
another
water supply
400 unit
work?
development here, or?
Well, that's not the purpose of the master plan. It's more like looking at long-term growth and,
Right,
But it has to be attainable.
but can we plan on building all these houses here if we don't have the water supply to satisfy them?
all right, okay.
I think that is an issue that has to be addressed. That's what comes up in a lot of their meetings. Can we supply the water, or?
I think we need economic development.
Okay, no.
We need something involving business, yes.
Phil's got 15, you wanna reduce it, Kate.
No, I am,
Who
I'm
you-
going through who he said, and I'm trying to see who I think is like, you
You're
can't cut.
You're trying to lessen it, the blow.
Trying to figure out who you can't.
If you wanna
So
get to
can't
11,
cut-
you're talking about 4 people.
Yeah.
Yes, this is like.
You can't cut
Just
rec.
keep it 15.
This is like final
Good.
cuts at
Rec is important.
Patriots, all right?
The kid, it represents the kids.
Could I make the
in life.
motion?
gonna
and
be
we can
Cam
see
Council on
if there's
Aging's
support?
important.
Yeah.
Jack,
we
could I
have a
make the
lot-
motion, we can see if there's support for 15?
I just wanna hear what she's cutting out. so
Okay.
we'll See what we get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like we're getting them
I don't think she's gonna get there.
It is 10 o'clock.
there. Tanya
I like to
Belichick.
think historical is important, but,
You want me to help you out here a little there?
Nope, I'm almost there.
Okay.
Yes, I do, but let me come up with my thing and then you can say.
How many would you put on, Jack?
Me? I think you want it
5?
down.
0?
Jack is our committee. Committee of one.
I'd never get a second. No worries, after 10, no one's watching us, Kate, so, yeah, if you wanna just trash it.
All right,
take it
so
down.
I have 2 planning board, a select board, sorry, a sewer and water, a school committee, an economic development, recreation, council on aging. I lumped, conservation trails, forest, and Adams Farm into one. I don't know how we would figure that
Yeah.
one out.
That's a good
Historical, a member at large, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't even know who I knocked off. I just,
Did you say council on aging?
I did.
You don't have
You have housing
Concom, right?
partnership?
So we lumped
do.
we lumped conservation, trails, forest, Adams together.
Oh, I see, with Concom, okay.
What'd you say, John?
You have housing partnership as one of them, or?
1, 2, 3,
No, she didn't say.
6, 7, 8, 9.
Did she mention school
But I
committee?
said 12.
Oh.
Did you say school committee?
Yeah. So I
And
said
then
2.
interfaith, the interfaith person.
Well, that could be a member at large, like, I think
I think
One,
they
two,
may
three,
be
four,
better,
five,
as
six,
not
seven,
necessarily
eight,
a
10,
committee member, but as someone who could bring a different aspect to it. It's something you'd
But
want to
that's a
listen
committee
to.
member.
Yeah. Because they will look at things in a certain different aspect possibly. I
Did you
think,
have recreation?
I don't know how many churches we
Yeah.
actually have in town, but I think we have a fair amount of them.
And it doesn't have to be a clergy, it could be also someone who's working in diversity and, you know,
I think maybe the member at large, we could cover that, and we should have them, just like the selectmen do, have people who are interested apply
That's reasonable, yeah.
and see, you know,
And try to
who
choose
we
someone
get, and hopefully we
who-
get someone who's
Big
interested and
diversity.
diverse and
Yeah.
has 2, 3, 4, 5.
So what do you have,
6,
11?
8, 9, 10. So that's 12, so we either cut one or we add one, because you can't
Yeah,
have an
you don't
even
want
number.
it even.
Did you say an additional business person or no?
I did not.
Okay, so
So we
I'm
could
missing
add-
one that you
Who
said.
didn't make the cut? Who
I
did-
have no idea, because I didn't do it that way, I didn't want to be mean. So I
You
just
didn't
put
wanna
down
tell everybody who didn't
who
make the
jumped
cut.
out at me.
Can you say it
cut the
again,
trails.
please?
Yes,
We
I'll
know
say
that.
it again. So I
I think we should shoot for 13,
Two-
that's a good, maybe a
two planning
compromise.
board, one select board.
Why'd you go out of order from Phil?
Because I just like I say, I didn't want to,
Okay.
We're thinking off.
I didn't want to target anyone, I just
Yeah, I know,
randomly.
it's just,
One select board, one sewer and water, one school committee, one economic development. And like you guys said, it can be they appoint someone. One recreation, one council on aging, one conservation trails forest Adams Farm, one housing partnership, one historical, and one member at large. If I could add someone, honestly, I would add, I think another business member. Or I'd split off conservation. All right, someone else have a throw at it.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to
Was
cut
that
any
11?
of them, really.
I think that's 12.
It's 12, unfortunately, yeah.
I must have missed somebody, oh, school committee, I missed one.
I think, I think
Conservation
that's
and then a trail forest.
decent. I mean, I think that, you know, somebody with DEI experience is important, and I think business is important, so. I would add 3 more to that, but. 1, 2.
Not have checked off. Okay, I'm going for 11.
So I get 13.
You got 13?
That-
Let me
that-
do it again.
Maybe I- 2 planning board.
Yeah.
Oh, remember at large, that's what I'm missing.
I scratched it.
I think, do you have this one all one, the trails and COMCOM?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, recreation, trails, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I have an extra business person.
Oh, yeah,
That's
she
why.
didn't say
do
that.
Okay, I put an extra business person in, and that made 13. I think it's better to have an odd number.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
we're all
So,
agreed.
so if you do the business person, that comes out 13.
so what do you got?
It would be the recreation.
Oh, start at your list, Phil. I got yours written
Okay,
down.
the plan, okay, the plan, to the planning board.
Yep.
Recreation, now the trails, forest, Adams Farm Conservation. Housing Partnership, Select Board, Sewer and Water, Historical, School Committee, Economic Development, Council on Aging, another business person, community at large,
Appointed by the planning board.
appointed by the planning board.
Well, any of these appointments should be for anybody outside that's not, should be appointed by us, it's our committee.
Yeah, so I would venture to say, in regard to that, it would be the member at large, the random business person, and the conglomerate of Conservation Trails, Forest Adams would come before us and would appoint them. Do you agree?
No, since they're already a committee, it'd be up to them, let them decide.
But this one with the trails, like Katie said, that's like 4 different
It's
groups.
different
So it
groups.
would, I think it would make sense to have anyone from those groups or their appointee.
And if
You
they're
know.
okay with pulling back and letting,
Letting
let's say
someone
Adams
else-
Farm said, oh, let Trails do it, or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should hear what they have to say.
Okay,
It's reasonable.
excuse me? All right, we have the membership. Everybody in agreement?
I think
I'd
so.
really like to see that interfaith racial person, 'cause I
Yeah, but
think.
Phil, that can be the member at large if they
Member at
apply.
large,
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not being excluded.
But you're asking, once again, a group that doesn't exist to appoint somebody. Who's gonna
No, we
appoint?
would
We would-
appoint it.
No,
We
why
would
it
appoint
be
the
a community
person.
member at large? So, do we have a final?
I'll make a motion for that list for the 13.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to read it for Kate, so she's got it down.
It's hers plus 1 additional business
No,
person.
he means
For
that,
Kate
Kate.
Delaney for the
Oh.
notes. so we-
Are you good, Kate, with it?
You got it?
I think so.
Okay.
You think so, okay. Change it to
You want to
three.
interface?
Definitely.
Okay.
Jack said there has to be.
Have to be what?
So, do we have a motion?
I made the motion for that
Second.
list of 13.
Okay, now, before we vote, if you're gonna,
read you what I have?
Sure.
you said you're all set.
No, go ahead though, just to make
Yeah, we
sure.
only got another.
2 planning board, 1 rec, 1 trails, that conglomerate,
Yep.
1 sewer and water, 1 housing partnership, 1 board of selectmen, 1 school committee, 1 EDC, 1 council on aging, 1 business committee person, 1 historical commission, 1 community at large appointed by the planning board.
And how many does that
13
come out?
members.
What's the count? 13? Yeah.
Okay, now, what I'm gonna say is, you guys got the second, is there's no designees for any of the elected people, or even the town, any of the others, because you're shirking your duties. You get on it for certain, this is a master plan. So for, say, some of the selectmen, I get, Tom Jones out here, it's like, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. It should be a member from each one, and the only ones that are large are the ones we.
For elected only. What about appointed?
Not elected, no, appointed or elected. If you're in a group like the EDC,
Yeah.
you should come. You should have one of your membership. If you're on a town, either elected board or appointed board,
Mm-hmm.
you should put a member forward, not shirking your
So now
responsibility.
you're saying like the zoning board?
They're not on there.
No, I think what he's
No,
saying
of
is
those
if
groups.
it's from a group
Oh,
we
okay,
picked,
sorry,
it should be someone from the group we
Yeah.
picked.
Yeah, it's like sewer and water can't say, we'll get Jimmy Taylor to do it. I like it. You guys don't necessarily know
So it
Jimmy
should be
Taylor.
part of the group.
It should be part, because you're looking for the input for, you don't wanna hear later, well, sewer and water didn't know what's going on, we had this guy over here who.
And it would also,
It's what the master plan's supposed to be made of.
My only concern would be that we're maybe not getting enough of a voice of people in the community who may be thinking differently, and those are the.
But see, I think that's what the
That's what the
consultant's
input
job
from
is
the
to do, is to
audience is for.
make sure we get everybody's input. Like, she's going to survey everybody. When I say she, I understand she's a
But
group,
it'll-
but
It'll be very different if you're on the committee as opposed to just giving input, because the committee will look at everything through a certain framework, and once someone gives input, they it goes away, and you don't really know how that gets.
I don't think so. I think it's the committee's job to have a broad, open mind and listen to everybody's.
Oh, it won't be because people didn't intend to do that. It'll just be because people's experience is such that they just won't be it won't be registering, it won't be something they remember as they're going through the, many, many meetings that they're gonna forget about maybe. So I think if I had any adjustment to this, it would be adding 2 more at-large people to make sure we didn't bring more people outside the town officials. That'd be my, that's my concern, that we don't have enough people outside.
Back to where I started. Is
Yeah.
everybody in agreement that if Selectmen's gonna have somebody, the school committee's gonna have somebody, not somebody we just picked? It's their job.
No, that would be two additional planning board appointees at large.
Yeah.
To bring it to 15.
I'm suggesting going back to the
Oh,
15.
yeah,
but
okay, I
appointing-
understand what you're saying, Phil, but is everybody, I don't wanna, if we go out and reach out to Sewer and Water, we don't need a substitute, a designated hitter, so to speak. It should be
Yeah,
one of the
it
five.
should be someone who can speak
On
for-
behalf of that group. We wouldn't have invited you, because if, say Sewer and Water shows up and we're gonna, what do we even put you on the list for?
We want
just
the
agonized over the
input of
list, what we
someone
should have.
who's representing the town, that aspect of the town.
Yes.
So that's what, so if we do that, that's what makes me want to add the other
Then
2
you'll have the
people,
two.
to have a little more flexibility of making sure we have other voices.
Well,
Yeah, that's good.
I think we
the
should.
idea is we have everyone coming to the meetings to provide all those extra voices. That's why we should make sure that all those meetings occur, so that anyone who has an idea or wants to make comments will be heard.
That's
Yeah.
right.
How many people do we got that are appointed? 3?
Appointed?
A business
Well-
person, a member at large, and the Trails Forest
No,
Conservation.
appointed.
No, from us?
Yeah.
With the 13, I think it looks like just 2.
Well, I think the question was, which amongst those groups, the Conservation Trails, Adams Farms, is going to choose
Oh,
a member?
yeah,
They have
that-
to get together or something.
But it's still somebody within that
Yeah,
we
someone
appoint.
within that-
But it's not
So
an
we have-
at-large.
Someone that we
But that's why we're
vet
choosing
or
them.
whatever.
You're having a
yeah.
business, and you're having just anybody.
And at-large
Okay,
yeah.
and what's the other, there's nothing else?
The other
Ju-
one is we have to get someone from the Conservation Trails.
Yeah, I understand that, so.
Yeah, but that's within that
So there
group.
is no
So
one
just
else.
2.
No, yeah, everyone else is being
Everyone else
selected by
their
their
group.
their group.
Okay.
It's a motion.
So are we gonna add 2 more? And keep
I
it,
think we're getting it
No,
into,
what I don't wanna, what's gonna happen
gonna
is
be
you can
too
stack it
unwieldy.
one way or another with another 2, so now you got 4 or 5 people on it, becomes.
we're gonna stack it with
I was
people.
shooting,
No,
no,
you're
I
gonna
was
stay- you
shooting.
can
Have
stack-
interest in the town.
No, you're gonna stack with people who have their
no,
own
no,
interest
that's the
in the
trouble
town.
with the town as it is right
But it's
now.
imp- it's
There's
so
too many
important
people
to-
who are told, do this, and they're doing this because someone's organizing them, say, do this, rather than have the
I
whole
don't know
town
about that.
who aren't willing to stand
But I-
up and fight for themselves.
But I think we need to realize that, there's a small body of people who run for offices and
Yeah.
are the same
Yes.
people.
Yes.
And there's a whole lot of other people
And they
who
all
have
come to
good-
the same
yeah.
meetings and
And
speak
they all
up
go,
and get
Yeah,
their
but-
voices
Rubber
heard.
stamp,
So when
Rubber
we
stamp.
did the last master
stamp.
plan, that's not at all what happened. There was great community, and look at the master plan, we achieved almost all of it. There was great community involvement, everyone listened to the community involvement, it was brought forward, it was inclusive, it was productive. I I was shooting for 9, I already added
We've already
2
had
to
4
go
more,
to,
yeah.
13,
know,
first
I
11,
mean,
now 13.
more than.
Yeah, I
so,
think
yeah.
we're looking at 11.
Okay, we had the
so
motion
do
for
it.
13, and we had a second, right, Kate?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm gonna kill it now, this one, see how you guys vote. All those in favor of this 13, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain?
I'll say opposed. I think there should be 2 more.
3 to 2?
3 to 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Can we appoint our members? I'd like to volunteer.
I propose we do that at the next meeting with more time to think about it. And
It's not,
also, I think we
It's
need
not
to,
next week, staff.
I think we also need to sit down with the consultant. We need to come up with the mission, the charter of this committee
mhm.
to really understand how it's gonna work.
Yep.
No, see,
Well, we can do it the next meeting.
Yeah.
Look, we bantered this thing for an hour, and I got a lot of patience, but not that much. I mean,
okay.
Jesus, Belichick makes his 53-man roster like that.
I tried.
I know, but
least
what you
it's
did
not
to me,
taking
Phil,
one way.
I had you written down here
At least it's
perfect,
not
and
10
then you
minutes
started
long,
jumping, and I was
glasses.
losing it.
Yeah.
That's
time
why,
we
when I
were
write
so
this
late.
stuff down, it was going good, so. All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
3, 2, 1, boom.